doing it. You supposed to be happy you sitting there with Kid L. Why you mad?
The Kid L podcast.
No, they're Doc Martin. Yeah, Docs.
Y'all ready to rock? Let's do it, man. Diego is in the building. Also known as directed by Diego, man. It's kind of legendary what happened here because I remember when you were doing very well, and we'll just talk about social media wise. Like your social media was doing very well at one point. You were promoting your music videos and everything, and then one day I forget what happened to your Instagram. I think it got a violation came on your Instagram.
I think it was some type of violation. Yeah, I don't know what it. I think it was because I kept getting copyright. The thing is, a lot of the artists I work with, their music is already online. Yeah. So I'm assuming it was just a lot of like copyright things, and it just like Instagram took my shit away. Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, damn.
I remember because I was watching it happen and I was like, oh my God, they're destroying this guy's Instagram page, which is where he showcases his music videos, his portfolio. And I was like very sad about it. And a lot of people give up at that point where it's like, oh my God, my Instagram's dead. I'm just going to forget about promoting through social media and just do, work off of that. But you took it from it plummeting to now I would consider you the biggest music video director in Michigan right now.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like, yeah, I guess. When that all happened, I kind of felt like, damn. I did feel like that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, damn, man. But I couldn't. I was like, I couldn't give up because it was like at a really like peak point. You know what I mean? Not a peak point, but like it was one of those points where I'm like, man, I gotta not give up. I can't give up. This is something minor that I can really fix.
Yeah, and it sucked too because you were dropping heat while you were kind of shadow banned on Instagram. You were still dropping legendary stuff, and it was getting like 3 views, and I was like, oh, this is painful to watch.
But actually, a friend of mine was the one that told me. Well, actually, Primo Beats, I found the link from somebody that he helped, and they gave me this link to get it back, and I was like, man, I was desperate at that point, and so like I got it, and it worked. Like it just came back by itself, and I'm like, oh, bet. So that was kind of dope. But
and now you're obviously everything's flourishing, man. There's when people talk about the most sought out directors in Detroit, when we're talking about. We'll keep it to the people who have a name that actually have the name that's being pushed because there are some guys who do work with like Eminem and stuff like that shoot those like Hollywood production stuff, but they don't have a face to the actual production. But we're talking about Jerry PhD, right? When we talk about you, we're talking about guys who every single production is bringing everything they got to make it look phenomenal. And you've been doing that for a while now, man. For anybody who doesn't know the Diego story, we'll start a little bit from the top and kind of go through it. You're from Michigan?
Yeah, from Southwest Detroit. Yeah.
And then at first you were talking about wanting to get into movies, right?
Yeah. Well, the initial plan was to do movies. The music videos weren't even like in my mindset. Like I was like, I'm gonna do some movies. And I did a movie with my friends, and it was like terrible because we didn't know. It was bad. And I
was
think
it the
actually,
horror movie?
Yeah, it was a horror film. Yeah, actually, I think it's coming up on the 10 years next year. We didn't know anything. Like we were just a bunch of kids trying to figure it out or whatever. And then after it came out, I was like, man, I'm just gonna do music videos to kind of like just brush up. But I never thought like it would be kind of where it's at right now. You know what I mean? Like. It was just like something I did in between when I wasn't working at my normal job, and then like it just kind of like started progressing, and I'm like, damn, like this, and I love music, you know what I mean? So I was like, this is like kind of where I want to do right now. So that's where I'm at now. It's just like it was like a snowball effect.
Do you remember your first music video?
Actually, yes, I do. It was for a friend of my little brother's friend. They just called me one day and was like, well, technically not. My first music video was for a friend of mine who he was like really a big Beyonce fan, and then like we just like messed around and like he just was lip syncing to Beyonce songs. It was like nothing, but like my first video was my little brother's friend. Like he made a song, and I was at home. He's like, come, my little brother calls me, so I'm like, all right, whatever. I just came through. We filmed it for like a little bit, put it together, and then I just kind of started doing stuff with him, and then stuff with people in my neighborhood, and it just kind of like. It just every year, like I told myself, like, all right, well, I did like 4 videos this year. Like next year, I'll just do 5, and then like really, I did like 20, and then like from there, just kind of like, then I stopped thinking about how many I should do, and I just did them until the point where I just quit my job, and I was like, I ain't trying to do this no more. I don't want to be working construction forever. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, because you were doing construction.
Yeah, I was doing construction before all that. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I hated it. Even my boss would tell me like, hey, yo. why are you doing this? Like, and I came to work. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I thought I was gonna get fired. Like, he was gonna fire. Like, oh man, because I would show him my videos. He's like, you got a real talent. You should really be doing this and XYZ. And I'm like, all right, And then one winter, they laid us off, and I'm like, when it got kind of, because every winter, like in construction you get laid off. When it got warm, I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna just take the chance at this. And he's like, all right, cool. He's like, if it don't work out, you got a job. So I'm like, all right, bet. And I just never looked back.
Yeah.
At that point, I was just like I got to make this work. If this doesn't work, then I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it worked.
And you even during the earlier parts of you starting to shoot music videos in Detroit, right? You understood the business aspect of it, right? To be able to survive without having a job, right? So it wasn't just the visual aspect, but the business background to it too. How'd you pick up that element of like knowing how to operate a business?
I just really asked people. Well, my father owns his own business, so I kind of asked questions from him and other people that were doing it, that were already kind of doing music video production, and I would ask them a lot of questions and just like be super annoying about it, like, hey, how do you do this, XYZ, like. But I also saw like the structure of production. But even though I didn't have a crew back then, which is like how I do now, it was kind of a learning curve, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, I want to be there, you know what I mean? Like, even though like the budgets, like you gotta think, like back then I was doing videos for like next to nothing, and I couldn't afford to pay this person to do this or do X, and all these other people. And the videos I was doing back then didn't really call for that type of stuff, you know what I mean?
I remember one of the first music videos I shot. A lot of people don't know I used to shoot music videos like since like 2011. So like I was never very that good at it, but I got by. But I remember when I was first starting, and this artist was like, how much do you want, bro? How much do you want to shoot my music video? And I remember like my heart sank because I was like, bro, is like $100 too much to ask to shoot a music video? And then so I asked him for $100. I was like, yeah, okay. And then I did the math. I worked it took me like 50 hours to shoot and edit the thing. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I basically worked for like less than $1 an hour.
No, for real. Like and that's the crazy thing when I see people, and I get it, like you're new, like I can never like, I used to make rants on Instagram about like people charging like nothing, but I'm like, I was there at one point, you know what I mean? I was that guy. But you also had, like you said, you have to look at the time you put in shooting and editing. It's like, all right, does $100 or $200 really justify, me putting in, like you said, like 50 hours or whatever, like you take to shoot and edit, that's all work. Think about it as a normal job. You know what I mean? Like, at
that time too, because the communication between the artist and the director was too close, so they were pressing your asses for those $100 videos. Like, yo, I want my video. Where's my video? And you're like, bro, I got $100. I got to turn this around in 2 days. And I used to have an artist used to come to my house. And he used to knock on my door at 9 o'clock in the morning and be like, can I watch you edit it so I know I can have it? I'm like, oh my God, this is like
I've had clients like that, and it's a nightmare, dude. Like, I cannot deal with that type of.
They don't have the patience, right, to see the outcome.
And,
you've come a long way though from those points of shooting these fucking, low cost videos to now. And I remember when you'd come and done a podcast and you talked about how you want to take everything to the next level and you don't want to take any steps backward as far as production's concerned. And I even got to watch you on set a BabyTron video recently with Dave Fio on Helava. And I saw you run the production, and I was like fucking stunned. You came in with like a huge cart filled with equipment, set everything up, super, super professional setting. Shot looked incredible. You handled yourself as a director like just as smooth as anybody can handle themselves. Everybody knew what to do, when to do it. You ran the show, and I was like, wow, this is like what a real director looks like. Packed up and left, and you handled it. You know what I'm saying? So it was really cool to actually watch you in action and see how you operate, but to see that you were so concerned with making sure everything came out flawlessly. So you stuck to what you said, which is very, very important. Has there ever been times throughout this process where you have stopped and went like, okay, I have to cut around the edges a little bit because the cost and the budgeting doesn't allow me to use my time up this much? Yeah,
I mean, still to this day, like even a lot of like run and gun stuff really it comes down to like artists that don't understand why they have to pay for this or that, or they just really just want me to do it, and they're just like, they don't care about anything else. They're like, I just want you to do this video. I'm like, oh, okay. So like it really comes down to like what they want. Sometimes they just want me to pull up with a camera, and it's like, I hate those. I'm not gonna lie, like nothing against them, you know what I mean, but it can be fun sometimes depending on who the artist. Like I have a lot of clients that I will just pull up, and then I know we'll will do some dope shit no matter what it is. You know what I mean? Like Courtney Bell, like that's one artist I know if like he called me right now, like let's shoot, I could make it happen. It's gonna look sweet. But some artists just don't care. You know what I mean? So it's like it comes down to those type of environments, like who you're working with. You know what I mean? Like a lot of artists don't care about getting the extra stuff, or they just want that person. So like then it's like, all right, well, I had to cut down on everything. You know what I mean? Just like I just got to show it with the camera basically at that point and make it look sweet however I can.
Me and Kiefer were talking about that a couple weeks ago, how Sada Baby kind of changed the game because he was just one guy shooting inside the same exact studio for like 7 music videos straight and averaging 1 million+ views. And then like a lot of other people, rappers thought, because I was around at that time, thought they could do the same thing, like just pull up to the studio with the camera. And I was like, you're not dancing and you're not giving this charismatic performance for people to give a damn that you're sitting in a room smoking for 3 shots.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of changed the way that people thought they could apply themselves to it. So running guns aren't your thing unless you got somebody who knows how to perform pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Like, a lot of guys aren't great performers at all. Like, and I'm not saying you have to sit there and dance, but like showing some type of energy and enthusiasm towards the camera helps a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's why I enjoy watching like Dirk videos, because it's like the energy he gives off. You know what I mean? Or watching videos like even like a simple as Kendrick video. You know what I mean? Like, or anything that's like, again, going back to Courtney, like he has that charisma. Like a lot of guys, I feel like they have it, they just don't want to show it. Maybe they think they're too cool to show it. I don't know what it is, but like I feel like once you show that energy, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're doing high budget or low budget, it's gonna look great. You know what I mean? Because the audience, that's why I try to tell artists, like the audience feeds off that. They see you, they're looking at you, they're looking at what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, no, it doesn't matter how intricate the edits are, how like whatever, like how spicy we do anything. Like I could have pigeons and lasers and a helicopter blowing up in the background and you're boring as hell to watch. You know, like people don't care. They're not going to care about everything else. They're going to care about you. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's that energy that you bring no matter what you're doing, whether you have 100,000 or 1,000. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's with every type of production, right?
Yeah.
If an artist comes on a podcast, that's his chance to showcase his personality, his entertainment value, their story, and how they communicate with the audience, right? Just like a photographer, you're capturing the look of an artist, just like a music video. So every single time an artist puts himself on a project, that's their way of showcasing their talent, their ability. So that's what resonates with people. That's why you got to give it your all every single time you do any type of production. Sometimes when people will come do an interview and they'll be confused, like, I don't know, bro, I feel like I'm so boring. And it's like, or like, nobody gave a fuck about my interview. And I'm always like, that's because you're fucking suck at doing interviews, dude. Like, you don't know how to fucking respond and talk and communicate and really express yourself.
Right.
Which is what is an artist? That's an expression of the inner.
Exactly.
When you're not doing that, it's like, what the fuck do people have to feed off of?
And it's hard to tell artists, hey, give me a little bit more energy, because it's like, I don't know what that means to you. You know what I mean? Because I said that before and some guy's like, what do you want me to do? Dance? I'm like, no, that's not what I said. I'm just giving me a little bit, like, move your freaking hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me something. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times artists just don't. They'll rap and they'll keep their hands down, or just it's simple little things like that. I think a lot of times artists don't take in account. Like, even when, same thing with stage performances, with anything. Like, if I watch somebody, I don't need a stupid light show or anything like that. If you're giving me like just crazy energy on stage, like, I'm gonna be in tune the whole fucking time.
It must be easier now because you deal with a lot of professionals now. So these guys who do understand this already, and they're naturally of that nature to be moving and to be energetic and put themselves into the video fully. Like, you're working with the Kodak, Black, and Tyga, and you're working with these mainstream Hollywood type rappers, right? And which is awesome too at the same time, bro. It's like humongous for you and for the city, because getting these types of cats showcases Detroit visuals, basically, right? Like, you're bringing something different to the table. Well, talk about the experience of working with Kodak Black, man.
He was funny. Like, I didn't personally talk to him too much, but he was just like, his energy was just like silly. You know what I mean? Like, he at one point was like, there was an ice cream like truck there, and he was like eating ice cream, just dancing and shit, just chilling. I was like, his vibe was just like, he was just having fun with his life. He didn't care where he was at. He was just like, this is my vibe. Like, this is who I am. And I like that. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of makes me feel like, all right, this is going to be fun. You know what I mean? This is going to be some dope. So he didn't really make it too difficult for me, or I didn't have to give him extra direction. You know, he, like I said, he kind of already knew what to do.
Does extra direction determine at all how much the artist has that skill set, or is it sometimes they still do need direction even if they do have the skill set?
I guess it just depends on what I need to specifically for that shot. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, like where I put the camera, or if we're just filming for something that I need them to move a specific way or not move sometimes. That's when the direction comes in. Like, okay, I had this shot planned for this, so I need you to do this. Like, hey, the camera's gonna be here, so I need you to give me your hand movements closer to your face.
Yeah.
You know, and some artists be like, okay, cool. You know, and then they'll do all this stuff. When you brought up the Tyga video, it was a Kaylin Furrow video featuring Tyga, and we did that. We did a super close up, and he had this like hoodie that had this like cool design, and he like. I told him where the frame was going to be. I told him exactly what to do, and exactly where the camera was going to be, not what to do. He just kind of like freestyled it, and it just his energy was just like he zipped on a thing, he popped it open, like that stuff you can't like direct. You know what I mean? Like you could tell them what I want, but like that's natural things that come from them. You know, from an artist. You know, again, like being expressive, like you said, like an art. Like I feel like a lot of guys think that people are going to think they're silly, or goofy, but it's like. Bro, the more animation you show me, the better this is gonna look. Trust me. Like I try to tell guys all the time, like it's nothing too over the top. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be a lot easier and it's gonna be a lot more entertaining when you watch it.
Yeah, sometimes I look at the intention of an artist, and sometimes you can see that the intention isn't fully about the artistry itself. There's like other variables to it, maybe like how their friends perceive them, how society will perceive them, how their girl at the set might perceive them, and then they kind of shuts them down a little bit. Like I want to be looked at a certain way,
right.
And that's hurtful to me when it comes to that, because I'm almost like, this is the entertainment industry. We're entertainers. Entertainers are supposed to showcase their true selves in just in a very extreme manner. That's the whole point of us. We're supposed to magnify what's within. So to do that is important. You've been like, again, when you're dealing with the guys at that caliber, it does become easier. But one thing I do want to ask you about it is dealing with high caliber artists. They understand professionalism, obviously, right? At the end of the day,
usually, yeah.
Also, there is it because I was gonna ask you, did you know how it is when you first start directing music videos, and even midway between, you have to control a lot of chaos in order to get a video production set going the way you need it to go. And on time and everything like that. Do you still have to face that when you're dealing with like higher caliber artists?
Sometimes some artists, yeah. But we kind of try to account for it. You know what I mean? Like we'll have Cruz show up earlier, and then artists show up at a different time. But like that's still unpredictable. You know what I mean? Especially with feature artists, like you can never predict what time they're gonna show up. They might not even show up. Yeah. No, straight up. Like I've seen that happen. You know what I mean? I've seen artists not even show up at all, or show up 6 hours late, or whatever. Like, but then that's the good thing about planning things. You know what I mean? Like because I'm like, all right, cool. He didn't show up, so let's do these other things. You know what I'm saying? Like you plan the B-roll, like you plan whatever, like depending what you're doing for the video. But yeah, we oh man. When we did the Tyga video, we kind of like expected him to be late, and he showed up on time. Like the time we told him to show up, he showed up, and I'm like, damn, like that was good. But we were just in our head, we were like kind of like he might be like 2 hours late. We're already accounting for it, but he didn't show up late. So once he got there, we got him ready to go, and then boom. Yeah. Same thing with Kodak. He showed up maybe an hour late, if that. Like he showed up the time we told him to show up. Yeah, basically, you know what I mean. So like.
When you're dealing with it, again, I mean, I know for people it's kind of lame to keep saying higher caliber artists, but it's the truth. These guys are the fucking mainstream. When did you start feeling comfortable being able to direct people that are at that level?
Just recently, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I still don't feel like 100% comfortable, only because like you don't know how somebody's gonna react, what kind of mood they're gonna be in. Like, you know, you're just usually meeting them for the first time. So it's just like you don't know. Like I barely spoke to Tyga that day. You know what I mean? I just like, hey, do this, and then I walked away. Didn't have a conversation with him or whatever. But with Kaylin, since he was the main artist, you know, and he like we had a conversation in meetings before, and then he was doing a photo shoot. I walked in and like introduced myself in person, and like, you know, it was easy to, you know, get along with him too. So like it's really unpredictable, man, how you don't know what these guys are going through at the end of the day, or ladies, you know what I mean? Yeah,
especially when from their perspective they're dealing with so many different directors that for them it's almost like, all right, I got to show up and do what I'm told or whatever I want to do and move up. But you, for instance, you worked with Baby Money, right? In Detroit. So it's like that's a person who knows who you are to the fullest, understands the respect's there, everything's there. is it becoming easier when it's along the terms of somebody from the state itself, from the city itself?
Oh yeah, because I can talk. I can like. I'm glad you brought him up because he's really easy to work with. You know what I mean? Like he takes direction really well. So like, he's one of my favorite artists to work with actually. So but yeah, when there's a rapport there, it's a lot. Like you could joke around. You can be like, hey, this is XYZ or whatever. Because I'm still like in a sense, like you said, working with high caliber artists, I'm still new to them. You know what I mean? I'm not like a seasoned director. You know what I mean? Like I might be seasoned here in a sense to like people I'm experienced here, but to them they just barely know who I am. They're just finding out who I am. So they could tell me to shut the fuck up, and I got like I'm like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like they obviously haven't done that, but like again, it's just like having that rapport with an artist, being able to talk to the artist before helps a lot. You know what I mean? Like big time with the video set. That's why you have that comfortability. Like, oh yeah, like all right, bet. Like, hey, I need you to do this. Hey, Tyga. Hey, Kodak. Da da da. Like all these things. Like I didn't get to talk to Kodak too much prior to us shooting, so like there wasn't like
Does it feel like a force field around a little bit, or does it just feel like, well, we're just doing what we got to do to get done right now? When you're talking about communication with the artist.
That's a good point. Like that's a good way to say it, a force field, because I think again you don't know them. You know what I mean? You just only know them through music videos or like interviews you see on TV. You know what I mean? Like, and again, a lot of these guys are like kind of used to that. But when you're dealing with them in person, they could be total assholes. Like, damn, this is about to be. I'm not trying to put nobody on blast, but So Joyner Lucas was kind of he wasn't a dick, but he was like very like, he had to be very specific with him. And he like, the way his mannerisms came out and when I worked with him and like the way he said it came off dickish. Not saying he's a dick, but it came off a weird way. Like I'm like, all right. And I didn't know though, you know what I mean? I was still like, he was a featured artist and then like, I was like, oh shit, like I don't know how to talk to this guy. Again, I didn't ever had a conversation when he just showed up and was ready to do his part and get the hell out of there. And we only had him for a certain amount of time. And then when he did the scene, I told him like, all right, can you do this next scene? And he's like, all right, you gotta tell me what you want specifically, da, 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 da. And which was a learning experience for me, because I'm like, all right, this guy is very specific. If I don't tell him rap with your hands, he's gonna literally leave. He literally told me, I'm not gonna move my hands unless you tell me what you want. So I'm like, oh, okay, bet. Like, so it's just at that time I felt it was like, this guy's kind of an asshole, but I don't think he was. I don't want to say he's an asshole, but it just felt that way because I don't know him. I don't know his personality. You know what I mean?
Well, it could be also that he just wants you to be direct so that he knows the response and he doesn't like fluff. Some people don't like fluff, right? Like I don't need to hear the sweetness or cordialness of the conversation. I just need to hear what you want me to do. Sometimes it could be like that. You could probably be like that sometimes too. If somebody's trying to tell you what to do, you could just be like, just tell me I don't need to hear anything but what you need to tell me to do, right?
Yeah.
So do you think it could have been kind of more on that angle of like...
It definitely was. I'm thinking about it now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because at the time I did feel like it was like, this guy's a dick, but he wasn't. Like when I think about it now, like you do have to be in a sense like, for no pun intended, but be direct with people. Be like, hey, I need this. Even with crew, like, hey, I need this done. Because you're like the commander at that point, like.
But it sucks too, because then it's like you're dealing with all these personalities and emotions of like, oh, now you're being direct, and they might be like, wait, why don't you just be a little nicer when you say it? And then there's always that's the funny part about any type of production, is that the chemistry between people is so diverse. Like somebody could just be, like you said, very direct. Some people might need some fluff in the conversation, some sweetness in the voice, and all that type of stuff. So that's obviously your job as a director, is to be able to manage so many different types of personalities, which can be the hardest part. You know what I'm saying?
I just kind of like try to just kind of stick to being just direct. You know what I mean? I don't like adding the fluff now, especially. And people have told me like, man, you're a different person. I said, you're like kind of an asshole. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be. I just need to get this done. You know what I mean? I need this to done. Because like to me, my crew, everybody around me I feel like is better than me at the things that they do. You know
That's probably why Cole Bennett like seems so relaxed, is because his name is so fucking huge that it's bigger than the artist sometimes. And it's like, so I'm guessing sometimes when an artist goes on his set, they're almost like, I'm on a Cole Bennett set, and Cole Bennett's like, I'm in the fucking Kodak Black's here, like this is crazy. So they might get a little bit more of like that that open field, because that respect is so high at that point. That's why Detroit, for you, it's probably easier to communicate, because your respect in Detroit is so fucking high that it's probably easier for Detroit artists to communicate with you and have
Yeah.
have the more open communication. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%. No, for sure. Because
Yeah.
again, like it wasn't me, him. Like again, I've told this story to like amongst friends but thinking about it now, like how like putting in perspective on like, damn, he wasn't really being an asshole. He was just being what he needed to be told. And now I'm like, I'm that asshole, I guess, to some people probably, like, you know. But again, when I work with people here, they already know, like you said, they know me. It's a lot easier. It's just like I'm comfortable, and I don't like that, but I do. You know what I mean? Because like I look at music videos as trying to get better every time. You know what I mean? Each video is a learning experience. How can I make this Baby Money video better than the next Baby Money video, or Skilla or whoever? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I make these videos better every single time? So it's like, sometimes being comfortable isn't always the best for me. Like I want to be put in a position where I'm like, all right, time to put your, time to man the fuck up and then figure this out. You know what I mean? Like I want, sometimes, as it crazy as it sounds, I want something not wrong to happen, but something to put me in a position where I can like use my skill and like, all right, let's figure this out. And it's happened. You know what I'm saying? It happened, and it's like I said,
like pressure.
Yeah, I need the pressure. I like the pressure because again, it works for me. You know what I mean? Like it helps build me. You know what I mean? Like, because then I can think about it like, okay, I messed this up. The audience might not know because they see a video, they're like, damn, this is this. Well, they might not know like all these things happen behind the scenes that went wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
did something happen on the Tyga set that like threw you off?
Just a time frame. Like they started, they had to do the cover shoot too, so they were doing it at the same time. So like it kind of like it didn't mess it up, but like we had to like figure it out to make sure we had enough time for what we had on, like where we're doing. We had a set time for the location, so we had to make sure we were like in the time frame. Which we were, but it's like that pressure comes, and that's when it's like my run and gun mentality kind of kicks in. And like, all right, let's do this. Like in the meantime, let's go do this. Let's go do that. You know what I mean? So it kind of worked out. Like, and again, the team behind that I had, the production team was like, they were experienced too. So it's just like it worked. You know what I mean? Like we had these guys doing one thing, and then we were all doing that while they were doing their shoot, and we just like, we weren't just sitting around, you know?
Yeah, I feel that way too sometimes. When I'm in like more of a pressure situation, I figure stuff out better for some reason. I think your brain starts activating certain parts that makes you start thinking in like a very higher intensity, and then you're just like cut, and you can see how to do everything. Versus more when you're relaxed, it's like that part of your brain isn't activated as much, whatever part that might be, and so you're more like laid back with it. So it is interesting. Now, when it comes to you seeing the behind the scenes life at a more mainstream level now and seeing what's going on behind the scene, do you have a different perspective on what the music industry is now than you did like a year ago or 2 years ago?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you get to do more stuff, but there's a lot more red tape. It's like there's a lot more like, how can I put, it's like more paperwork, you know what I mean? Like you have to have releases for this, you have to have releases for that. You can't have, like a lot of artists now that, like if I do something with the independent artists, they'll be like, oh, get my Gucci this, or and you can't do that with mainstream art unless you have like because you have to get a release from all that. All these things, like there's a lot more, you can do more, but it's like,
what's the Gucci example you're saying?
Like basically like if I would shoot with the artist right now with Drake, like I would have to get, like, for us to actually show like a label, like the logo, we would have to get a release form from somebody in Gucci to like sign off and be like XYZ. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I started learning that later, so that's why sometimes you see in videos things are blurred out. Like I forgot whose video I saw, and his whole shirt was blurred out because it was like a logo. You have to get releases
was
for
it a
all
Larry
that.
June video? I think I seen a Larry June video where they completely cut off with 3 people's shirts, and I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, like even I think there's a Post Malone video, or the congratulations video. If you watch it, if you look at it again, some of the stuff is blurred out under, like the logos are blurred out. You know what I mean? So like you can't, like those type of things, or again getting releases for even people being shown on screen, like you have to get all their stuff, like their permission basically. Like,
so are you at the point now where everybody's getting paperwork on set?
Yeah, like
Wow.
make people sign NDAs, release forms, because somebody can be on set and if they didn't sign a release form, and they're like, you know, I don't want to be on this music video. It's hurting my image or whatever. And then you're like, damn, like at that point you have to like cut them out. or figure it out.
It's kind of weird how is that your responsibility for the
The
forums?
producer's responsibility. I mean, it kind of falls on everybody, but you know what I mean? Like, usually, like, the person that's producing the video is, like, their responsibility.
But you're not producing the video, right?
No, I have Carmen do that.
So there's
Shout out to Carmen.
so there's a person on your end that works with you that's producing the video?
Yeah, now at this point, so my team, basically everybody has a job. Like, so Carmen is my main producer. So she'll like get pretty much everything together. Like, I just give her this is what we need for this video, and then I mean I help, but like I feel bad for saying I leave the responsibility on her, but like it is her job. You know what I mean? Like, she gets paid to do that. You know what I mean? So she'll get paid to make sure, and she does a hell of a job. Like, we had to produce a video in New York, and she got it done within like a day. She got the whole crew, location, like quick. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like one of those things that like I'm kind of blessed to have that, and she's on top of it. Like, again, we could be shooting like all the models you see in videos, like whether it's our video or anybody else's video, they had to sign a release form, and then with the label, they want to see that. You know what I mean? They want to see who, they make sure everything is signed, everything is like all the paperwork's right. If not, if that person is like, you know what, I'm going to sue you guys, and you guys don't have my permission, and if they didn't sign a release form, they technically have the grounds to do that, which is crazy.
That's crazy that it falls on you though.
Yeah,
because
it does.
It's like, isn't it the responsibility of the person whose video it is? That's what trips me out.
Yeah, but we're the production team is like, they're paying us, they're giving us the budget to produce this video.
Oh.
So if you were like, all right, Diego, I got $50,000, I want to put this video together, you're giving me that money to make this happen. You're just gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? So
it almost feels like it has nothing to do with video production, but it gets incorporated somehow. That's the weird part.
Well, because when it comes to labels, they're corporations. You know what I'm saying? They're they're big companies. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, people will go after them for anything. So at that point, like you have to sign off on so many things. You know what I mean? Like,
you got the chance to work with you've worked with Deja Love multiple times, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Deja Love, and she's so interesting, man, because I feel like she just appears and disappears. It's so random, but then it's like when she does appear, it's like you guys end up working together. So
yeah, that's my twin. We had the same birthday.
For
yeah.
Oh, what's the connection? How'd you guys even start working together?
I think it was Tone, Sadie and Tone put us together, and then it's just kind of like we started. The first video, she showed up late. Like, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. I was really pissed about it. And she, like, we talked about it. It was just like scheduling issues or whatever. But I was really upset because I was looking forward to working with her, and I got so upset I left. I was like, I'm out of here. Like, and it was like more heartbreaking because like I was like, man, I really wanted this. I had this whole idea, and again, it's just like it didn't really fall on anybody. It's just like things got confused and there was a miscommunication or whatever. But it was just like sometimes that stuff happens. You know what I mean? And it worked out. Obviously, we kept doing videos after that. Obviously, there's no like, I don't like hate her or anything. Obviously, but like that's why it's good to have a team, and it's good to have like people to organize things, because to avoid things like that. You know what I mean? Or just to have like, but that's why now when I write certain things for treatments, I try to write them with the artist and then see if I can write them without the artist. This way I can still do the shots even if something like that happens. You know what I mean? Like, the shots that I needed her for that involved a bunch of people that showed up, I couldn't really use it. You know what I mean? It didn't really work. I used it sort of, but like not to its full ability. You know what I mean? So it happens. It is what it is.
That's the whole part of being a director in general, is problem solving, right? So like if something doesn't work in your way, you got to find a way for it to work in your way, some other type of way. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, it falls on us. Like okay, if the video turns out like shit, it ain't gonna be like, oh, that's his fault. You know what I mean? It's gonna fall on me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't the one I'm the one putting it together.
And what's crazy too is like the streets talk and the productions talk. So like I've heard multiple times from artists that like, he fucked up my video, or that person fucked up my video, or this person did this. So everybody's talking to everybody, and it's almost like when you hear that, you might be like, oh, I'm not gonna go and hire Kiddo for my next music video at this point.
You see what I'm saying?
It can all happen like that.
And at the end of the day, though, like, people don't take responsibility sometimes for their actions. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying this because we were just talking about days, so that's not what I'm talking. But like, I've had other artists where it's like, it was completely their fault. You know what I mean? Like it was completely their fault that things got fucked up, and then they don't take responsibility, and then they expect you to figure it out and fix it. And I'm like, bro, I can't fix something that you fucked up. You know what I mean? I had artists show up. We'll rent a location for X amount of time, and they think when they show up, that's when the time starts. No, it's the time. If you booked it from 12 to 5 or whatever, that's when it starts. If you show up at 4, we just lost. You know what I mean? All that time. You know what I mean? We just lost 4 hours, basically. Like,
well, yeah, that's why the bigger your name is and the more credibility your name has as a video director is very important because, you know, I said this before, but rappers will waste directors' times. A rapper will straight up waste your time when you're a photographer, or a videographer, or even a producer. Like they'll come in late or they'll come in and not be prepared, so you're waiting for 3 hours for them to change their clothes or do this or talk to people and this and that. And so the director's sitting there like, you are destroying my time, but I'm kind of obligated to be here because I need that money that you got from me at the end of this. You know what I'm saying? So they can pull your time left and right. But luckily, because you have such a credible name, when somebody walks onto a Diego set, it's almost like, all right, we got to treat this with respect because Dog's here and Dog doesn't play games, right?
Yeah.
You can't let people play with your time, and people know that from you when they come to set.
Well, that too, but then at the same time, like even if they do show up, it's now that I had to like figure this out. I had to make the best of it. And I've shot a video. There's a particular artist, I'm not gonna say what it is, but she showed up late. You know, it's late as hell. Like we had to shoot the video in an hour. And when you watch the video, you wouldn't think it. You know what I mean? You wouldn't think that, oh, this was done in an hour. But we literally did that whole thing in an hour. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's when it's like, don't put me in that spot. I hate that. I hate that shit. Like I hate being put in a weird predicament where I'm like, because you're just cheating yourself at that point. You know what I mean? And I try to tell artists all the time, like, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to make this look good for you. You know what I mean? But I can't do everything. I can't hold your hand the whole time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like the least you can do is show up on time. You know what I'm saying? Or like even if you're showing up an hour late, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I did all the work for you. You know what I mean? I just literally like all you got to do is like I try to make it to the point right now. Hope like when I do get a budget to work with, that all they got to do is show up. Everything else is handled. You know what I'm saying? Like you just got to show up. You know, like even like sometimes we have budgets to get stylists. You know what I mean? And then they like again, they just have to show up.
Yeah.
Show up and somebody's gonna dress you. Somebody's gonna, you know what I mean, do all these things for you. Like you just gotta show up.
Yeah.
You know.
Can I take 2 minutes real quick?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'll be right back. With the fact that you're still so embedded and working with Detroit artists and Michigan artists, and you have like a list of working with a lot of the top artists, what are considered the top artists in Michigan. You know, even with Vezzo, Babyface, Ray, and all these cats that are really dominating the Detroit industry. Has there been anybody that you've reached at the mainstream that either has panned out or it didn't pan out, but it's on the way? With any mainstream artists that people could look forward to?
That one, I usually it's hard to talk about because like I don't like talking about things that might happen until like I know for sure they're gonna happen. I mean that shit with Tyga I was not expecting. You know what I mean? Like at all. Like actually when I wrote the treatment, I thought I didn't get it. I just sent it to them and then like it was like 2 weeks had passed and I'm like, oh, they probably just picked somebody else. You know what I mean? Which I'm like, because that happens. Like when labels reach out, they'll like, all right, we got this song and this is the budget. Make a treatment. All right, cool. You know, which you're taking a chance at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like versus like another artist is like they want to book you already, so they're like the money's already there. You know, at that point you're like taking a chance with like hopefully they pick me. You know what I mean? Like so. But I will say this: if there's a short list of artists I want to work in that industry right now, definitely Lil Yachty. I want to work with a lot of Spanish artists, honestly. Like I listen to a lot of Spanish people like Bad Bunny and like, you know, all those guys. Like I mean, before he retires, I would love to work with Drake. I know I feel like he's gonna retire soon too. I don't know, I feel like it's coming. Like but I've been close to working with a few people. Damn, I don't want to say.
Oh yeah, it's not what you have to say. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, and this was like way earlier in my career, like 2018, 19.
Yeah.
I got sent a song. I can say it, I don't care because the video never came out, nothing like that. I don't think the song even came out. Was you remember Sage the Gemini? We had a song. He had a song. He had the man. What's that one song he had? I don't know. But anyways, they sent me a song from his label that had Chris Brown on it. And I was like, oh shoot. But this is like, again, I didn't have a crew or nothing. So to me, I was like, damn, this is like, I didn't get the video. I don't think the video came out, but I think, I just didn't get it. But there was a point in time I was getting a lot of, it was pre-pandemic where I was getting opportunities that were in my email that I never thought. I was like, oh damn, there's some big, but again, they never panned out. So that's why I'm like, right now, I always feel like I don't like talking about things unless they're for sure like there's a contract signed and like, it's gonna happen, like the date is booked, everything. Because I feel like that I don't like putting energy, you know what I mean? Like that type of like letting people know things before they happen, and it's like it might not happen. Like I feel like it jinxes it. You know
it does,
so
man.
like,
I swear. Most of the time that you think something's gonna happen, you speak about it. It's like it all backfires.
Yeah, because that's happened to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I might do a video with this person, and it was like, never mind. Then I look crazy. Then they're like, oh, you made that up. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, damn. All right. So when I did get the even when I got the go-to for the Kaylin Farrell and Tyga video, I still was like, damn, like I told like my close friends like, yo, this just happened, but like I still like didn't post it on the internet or anything like that. Like I just kind of like wanted to surprise people with it, like, oh, here's a video, like here you go, you know what I mean? So like I just kind of like stick to that routine now because there's a couple videos now that I'm like, all right, bet, like these might happen. And it's looking like it's gonna happen, but again, I might just put them out there. Like, here you go, here you guys go. Here's the video again. Like,
I think the way you're doing it is the best, right? Because I was just talking to Kluner about this because Kluner was having this whole thing about wanting to like feel cool in the entertainment industry and the music industry, and I was like to him, I was like, comedians and stuff like that, it's very hard for people to perceive them as cool. Video productionists, videographers, photographers, podcasters, it's hard for people to perceive them as cool because they're in the behind the scene. I was like, the way that they actually look cool is when they're working. Right. So when they're actually working is what the cool factor is versus them trying to portray cool. And the way you do stuff is so fucking cool because it's like, dude, this guy just dropped a fucking humongous mainstream song, didn't say shit, kept low key and just put it out there, and that's fucking what cool is. Like, that's the type of cool. That's the type of cool that gives Cole Bennett his cool. It's like, that's fucking cool. Like, you guys are really just about the work, grinding it, staying low key, and then like just showcasing what you got when it's ready. You know what I'm saying? So I think the way you're doing it is fucking awesome, man. I think it's the best fucking way to go about.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, again, it's like if you say something and it doesn't work out, then you look stupid.
But not only that, to not be like the braggadocious end of it. It kind of comes off as funny sometimes to people, where it's like you'll see people like go crazy about whatever their numbers are doing for whatever the hell they're putting out there, and it's almost like, can you just like do what the hell you're saying and not brag about it all the time? It's not as cool, it's not as sweet anymore now that you're talking about it so much.
But then you did make a good point about like people behind the scenes not always looking as cool. You know what I mean? Because, like I'm not I feel like this is the flashiest thing I've ever worn in my life. But like, I'm not really a flashy person. If you see me on a regular or even behind the scenes, I'm probably wearing all black and so it's like we don't. Often I feel like I don't want to say the respect isn't the right word, but like the recognition and like the people that do behind the scenes stuff are the ones that are the machine behind the entertainment industry. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't realize that. Like, like artists come and go, and some artists are here to stay, obviously, but like there's probably a plethora of artists that just like have come and go, one-hit wonders, or try to make it, didn't make it, and it's just like the reason they were looking good or on their way was because of people behind the scenes that were making them look good. And I feel like a lot of times here, since we're not really an entertainment capital or whatever, or entertainment type city, I don't want to say capital, entertainment type city like New York or LA, like directors or video producers or anybody that does anything behind the scenes, they don't get looked at in a certain light because people are like, oh, you're just a videographer, or you're just this, or you're just like whatever. And I feel like that's changing, that is shifting, because our artists are mainstream now, you know what I mean, or becoming mainstream, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like we're making that structure, we're becoming that I guess I don't want to say that. I feel like I don't want to say like we're like the next Atlanta. That's stupid to say. I feel like Detroit's gonna be their own thing. You know what I mean? That we're gonna be looked at like, damn, that's a city to be going to do stuff, because there's a lot of people that are messed with the artists that we have now, and we're like, I feel like we're on top of the game right now.
Well, with that part that you're talking about as the behind the scenes guys are looking cooler. I think it all just depends on how the person's been putting themselves out, right? Because you can look at case in point with Jerry PhD. He at his time too was considered like the coolest of the coolest when it comes to being a behind the scenes person that's creating stuff, right? So Jerry was the one who broke the mold as far as the guy behind the camera isn't the cool guy anymore. You know what I'm saying? So you're doing that as well, where I think like, that's cool. What he's doing is cool. Diego's cool. The way whoever does your behind the scenes, sometimes that person's like nailing it with getting what you're doing and just watching the work process, which is the cool factor of it. I think there's like the directors that are still doing like the $350 videos and stuff like that, and they're really just like yelling onto their phones all day long. That stuff is where people are like, this isn't cool. Like this isn't. No. When you're doing the low budget stuff for so long, it's almost like this isn't even cool anymore. This is kind of like everybody's supposed to be evolving.
Right.
I even sometimes look at the music video director scene, and I'm scared for everybody because I'm like, wait a minute, you were charging $350 5 years ago, but this year you're charging $150. Yeah. And to me, that's not cool. That means that you didn't take yourself seriously enough to up your production, to make yourself bigger, better, and to invest in yourself on every single angle of yourself, and to get to the bigger productions. Like, that's not cool. Now it's a marketing scheme. Basically, you're just like a low budget marketing scheme. Like,
well, I remember touching on this when we first did the podcast on the other podcast me and you did. Where it was not treating it like a hustle, like a side hustle. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, hey, you got to put your all into this. Like, this is my career. This is like what I do for a living. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I feel like a lot of those guys like that you've mentioned, like that you're using as examples, basically have this is just a way for them to make money. You know what I mean? This isn't what they want to really do. This is just another way for them to get extra money. Because I've seen those guys. And I see them they're doing a lot of other things to make money too. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Make money. You know what I mean? But like, if you really, like I said before, if you really want to take this and be a director, it's like you got to put your all into it. You know, like you do have to evolve. You do have to figure out like, all right, like I started, it was me, and then I added 2 people. You know what I mean? Well, really one person, then he added that person. And then now it's just like I have a small team with me. Like, I don't want to say behind me because I feel like they're like equals, you know what I'm saying? But like, I'm like blessed to have that, you know what I'm saying? But again, it's just like, that's if you want to take it in that direction. Like, if you're going to really put your all into this, you know what I mean? If this isn't what you really want to do and deal with the bullshit that comes with it, which is obviously dealing with people, artists, or whatever, management, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Then don't even do it. I don't know. I'm not saying quit, but like literally just, damn, that was crazy. Literally just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to tell somebody to quit doing what they're doing, but at the same time, it's just like, maybe just find a different road, bro. Maybe find a regular job, you know, because this shit is hard. This shit gets difficult. For me, like, sometimes it's like frustrating as hell. Like damn, I really want to like punch this person in the face right now, you know what I mean? Because they're annoying the hell out of me. But like, at the same time, this is what I chose to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I want to make it to the next level. Like, I didn't get to where I'm at because I just wanted to do little like bullshit videos to, you know, make $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, whatever. Like, I really like made a lot of sacrifices, and I feel like you're not willing to do that, then it's like, what are you really doing for real? What is the point?
Well, you had the clarity too that a lot of directors don't have, which even at one point I kind of lost clarity too, is that when you're working with high level artists, let's just say you do get the opportunity to work with a high level artist while you're doing a bunch of bullshit jobs, you end up working with a major star or something like that, and then you start working with that person, and then you start thinking that that's your success now too, because this person's successful now, I feel more successful, even though the bag doesn't really represent that on your end. It's more just like you're holding on to the hopes that the people that you're working with around you are big enough to make you seem bigger than you are as well. But if you're smart enough, you look past that and go like, okay, this person does have a substantial following and is who they are and everything like that, but that doesn't stop me from wanting to keep elevating myself and get to the next and next and next level. Instead of hanging on and depending on these artists, you have to be like, no, how do I make it where they look at me as the source instead of me looking at them as the source. And so then it becomes like a trade-off where like my talents, your talents, and our collaborational effort is going to create something monumental or something very big, right? So unfortunately, a lot of rappers or artists or whatever get stuck in that in that range too, of just thinking about the stardom factor, and that destroys a lot of them. They're able to handle these low cost budgets because they think, well, I worked with Baby Money last week, so I'm big shit. But then it's like, okay, well, your money's not representing that, and your future productions aren't representing that. That's why, like I said earlier, again, when you said that time on the podcast that you're like, from now on, I want to make sure everything I do is like legit, putting it out. It's like you're building an empire at that point. Like you're building a real brand that has meaning behind it. Now at this point, though, now that you're working with mainstream, it's just about extending that, right? To work with more mainstream, but you want to work with Spanish artists too. I don't know how developed all those artists are, but it sounds like what you're really trying to say is you want to get involved in stuff that you particularly are interested in.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely want to like branch off and do things that I've never done before. You know what I mean? Like, and doing different genre of music and things. Cause I listen to everything. You know what I mean? Like, mainly everything, not everything, but. So it's like I feel like when I watch those videos, they're like high production. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on with them, and it's like I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like I want to, like, again, challenge myself. I want to challenge myself to do a lot of different things. And even when I have smaller budgets, I still feel like that's within itself a challenge to still make a dope video with a smaller budget. You know what I mean? I don't always want to do that, but like, doing that's my next step. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do next. Like now that I have a good team with me, like I definitely want to like branch off and take them with me and then like, let's go do this. You know what I mean? Which sometimes it sucks because you can't always do that. Like when I did the going back to the Kalen and Tyga video, I did that by myself. Like I didn't have my team with me. So it was a little nerve wracking. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but now we're at the point where we can do that. You know what I mean? I can bring them with me. Now I'm like, all right, let's do this. So it's like, now that I'm here, how do I get here? And then from when I get here, what's the next level? Which will be probably movies. But like, it's always me trying to figure out how can I become better? How can I become more involved? What can we do? Evolved. What can we do to make these things look better? You know what I mean? Like, the money's gonna come no matter what, you know what I mean? That's never what I'm worried about, you know what I mean? Long as like, and I've taken sacrifices even on like the Tyga video shoot. Like I took a hit on my rate to get things that I wanted to make sure that video looked the way it looked. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you know what? I mean, not a substantial hit, but like, like that's still crazy. Not a substantial hit, but like I took a hit just because I'm like, damn, we need to get this, like this, and we couldn't like exactly afford that. I'm like, well, all right, we'll take it from mine. Like, and I've done that. And I still do that sometimes. Like, all right, take this little chunk from mine to make sure this happens. You know what I mean? Like, because again, to me, money is always going to come. Like, I'm not ever worried about that. Like, I'm like, whether I'm up or down, like it's gonna flow. But my whole thing is always what is going to make my videos look better? Because I want to be in the conversations with Cole Bennett's. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not there yet. I'm like, I don't think I am. Some people might see that, but I for sure don't think I'm in that conversation yet. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm still like at the entry level in the industry. You know what I mean? Like, and like with these mainstream artists, like a lot of them don't know who I am. You know what I mean? Like they know Cole Bennett, obviously, but they don't know. You know what I mean?
But then how many people do they know that's even under the bracket of Cole Bennett? Like that's the question.
I mean, there's a lot of there's like Colin Tilley's. There's a lot of like Dave Meyers, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of directors that.
And you
like,
think that the industry artists know who those guys are too?
I feel like they do.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think there's a lot of known like Director X. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of known directors that a lot of these guys probably want to work with.
Would you say there's more than 20?
Damn, that's a good question. To me, or just in general?
Just like, do you think that mainstream artists know 20 different directors right now? Like the generally a majority of them know that 20 different directors are.
I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
so if we're gonna say that means that you're on your way to being one of them, because in Michigan, again, you're one of the representatives of the highest productions you can shoot for music video that has a face to it, right? Mm-hmm. So then that conversation starts opening up like pretty fucking quickly because here, like you said, you got Jerry PhD. You have Hustleberry. I don't know if Hustleberry's still shooting. He had phenomenal work though when Hustleberry was working. If he still is working, you know, you got Kiefer. I do love the street rap shooters. I'm not gonna lie. Like I do respect those CTs and the lace visuals, and I do respect DBH and all that. I do respect what they're doing, art by art. I do respect what they're doing, but they're not trying to accomplish things at the production level that you are, with all due respect to them. They're just not. I don't see it at that level. Lace is independent, I believe, like where he doesn't really have a crew, and CT had said that he doesn't have a crew either. And you can only do these productions if you have a crew. And that's the case. I mean, at the end of the day, with all due respect, they have legendary work for sure. But so when the conversation comes about who's shooting the highest productions in Michigan right now, it's like you, Jerry, and there's this guy. I keep forgetting his fucking name, but he works. He did Eminem's Kamikaze, something on Eminem's Kamikaze song. His name's like James something. I forget his name, but there's like these group of fellas, but they don't have like a face to what they're doing. They're just a part of the production. But like Dylan Sides, for instance, right? You know Dylan Sides?
Yeah.
Like those cats, like they kind of keep it low key where there's no face to the production. If you know type thing in the grand scheme of stuff. So I can see your name really emerging very fucking quickly as a part of all the rappers knowing who the fuck's the best to go to in Michigan. Now you worked with T Grizzly obviously a while ago too. Did you maintain that relationship? Because I know you worked with his brother as well.
I worked with his brother, and I think that's the last time like we directly worked together. We worked together indirectly. Well, not indirectly, but I helped Jerry produce a video with the Striker Music song video, but Jerry directed it. So I just did some of the behind the scenes, like got the locations, XYZ. But no, we haven't directly worked together again. Not after that. No, I think the last time we did was on his whatever album that was came out in like 2018 or whatever, or whatever album.
It's surprising you haven't worked with Yachty yet then, because you pretty much worked with everybody who has worked with him.
I mean, I would love to work with him just because like I feel like I could do some dope creative stuff with him. You know what I mean? Like I could like, again, I feel like those type like his art, like his artistry would push me to want to do something crazy. You know what I mean? Like sometimes here, I want to do that. I'm like, oh man, we should do this. But then I look at the artist brand too, and I think I've spoken that before. Like you have to cater the visual to the artist brand. You know what I mean? Some artists want that street shit. Some artists want something more storytelling wise. You know what I mean? Or they want a mixture of both. Or they want to get out of the street stuff and get, you know, more like quote unquote industry look. So it's like you have to find what works and what doesn't. You know what I mean? Like again, when I wrote that treatment featuring Tyga, I was very nervous about it because I'm like, you know, that was basically my introduction into the label stuff. You know what I mean? Like outside of like Detroit artists. You know what I mean? So I wasn't sure how they were gonna take it, and they loved it. They did. Kaylin was like, I didn't want to change anything that you sent me. I'm like, all right, cool. Because sometimes they'll have notes like, oh, change this or change that, or I don't like this or this isn't me. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to find like using your voice to like kind of make something that works for them. So I feel like working with like a Yachty or a Kanye or somebody would like push me to that point where I'm like, all right, like I'm not thinking crazy enough. You know what I mean? I watch music videos. I'm like, damn, because I've wrote treatments for songs. Then I see the video, and I'm like, damn, that video is hard. And I'm like, damn, you know what? I didn't think big enough. You know what I mean? So sometimes I feel that way. Like I'm not pushing myself to think bigger. You know what I mean? Because I want us to look like stars. I want everybody here to look like, you know, like bigger than I don't know. I'm not saying bigger than what they are, but like they need to. I feel like our artists deserve to look like a Drake or look like these guys. Even though, you know, Drake's probably putting like $1 million in his videos. You know what I mean? But like, there's ways to have that look and still within the budget. And it's crazy because you think like you're getting 30,000-40,000 to do these videos. Like not personally, but like the budget for the videos, and you're thinking like that's a lot of money. But when you start thinking like, all right, it starts going into crew, locations, it's like that dries up fast. You know what I mean? Then it's like, damn, I didn't get to do all this. That's why I'm saying it's like a little bit more red tape.
Yeah, it's interesting because too, when street rap was heavily prevalent and was less about like, you know, it was really cool to see Skilla Baby kind of break that, really break that from like street rap videos into breaking it where, you know, what's that song with the Fairly Odd Parents reference and Icky Vicky reference there, like that was like a production, right? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that looked like mainstream, that looked like what you're talking about, but Detroit was kind of known and worshipped for that straight up greedy ass music video shit where it's like, dog, this is really the streets, fuck all that visual shit. But now that Detroit music is elevating, the production does need to elevate. It can't be stuck in the street shots all day long. It kind of started getting washed out a little bit. And
there's ways to make that street stuff look more cinematic and more like, you know, you look at references like shows like Snowfall or like Breaking Bad or anything that has to do with like crime or drama or anything like that. Like, look at those as references. Like, those are like gritty looking shows, but the cinematography is crazy. You know what I mean? So I always look at stuff like that when I try to do like street rap and still make it like a cinematic piece. You know what I mean? Or like I look at artists like Kid Art, directors like Kid Art, where they make these cinematic videos, but they're still like have some street and like grittiness to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, again, it's like catering to the voice of that artist. You know, it's just sometimes you have to find that balance. You know what I mean? So, but I like when artists get out of that. You know, like you said, like Skilla and Babyface Ray. I feel like they were like, I'm cool with getting out of that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do these type of like higher end cinematic videos, or even like like them doing that stuff really shows that they want to evolve too. And then again, it's like I like watching that kind of like those kind of videos. Like, you can rewatch them again when you like, oh, I didn't see this part, I didn't see this, or I didn't whatever the hell it is. But like, you watch a street level video, and it's just like, okay, 1 minute in, you're like, okay, there's nothing that's gonna change about this. You know what I mean? Like, there's literally no progression. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's cool. Like the edits might be a little saucy, but like, all right, at that point, you're not even watching the visual no more. So it's like, you're just listening to the song. So did I really need to shoot this video for, you know, did I really need, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm looking for the replay value in the watching it, not just listening to it. Yeah, and I just had an artist who came on that was talking about how interesting it is how we look at, if you're inside of the city, if you're inside of Michigan, you're looking at the production in a way that relates to you, but the general audience that's watching it from outside doesn't appreciate it as much. They would rather have things that have more substance and quality productions behind it. So it's like you're trying to feed what's going on around here when so many other demographics and so many other cities want to consume it at a higher production. Even the sound of some of the songs, like some of the songs still sound like they're being recorded in the basement. That's kind of old news now. It's like that used to kind of be cool, and for us it was cool, but people outside are like, no, we actually want to like hear and see fucking shit. Like, we want to see shit look right. Even when we're going on, like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I go on, I can't watch Tubi. No offense to the Tubi movies, I can't watch it because of production. Right. It's not because the story might be fucking fire, son. But if the audio's fucked up, I'm not watching the full movie. And if the video's fucked up, I'm not watching. I just can't. My brain won't let me do it. I'll tell you this though, if the audio is good, even if the production like look wise is not good and the audio is good, for me, I'll still watch it.
The Tubies?
A Tubi movie. If the story is good and the audio is good, like I can clearly like. If the audio is good, bro, that's like the best thing. Like, cause like it could look great and the audio is trash. I'm not watching that shit because I'm like, can't hear nothing. Like, the music sucks or whatever. But if the audio is great, and even if the cinematography is like dog shit, they did that shit on the phone, I don't care. For real. If the audio is good for me, like, I'm watching this shit. Like, if the story's good.
What movies have you gone through on Tubi?
Oh, I'm just saying in general. Like,
okay.
I mean, I don't watch a lot of Tubi movies.
Do you ever consider hopping into the bag? People obviously throwing bags at you to shoot the Tubi
I'll
movies.
definitely do a movie for sure. Like, I don't give a fuck if it comes on Tubi. You know what I mean? Like, I'll change the Tubi game. Fuck it. Like,
Dennis Reed is saying it's a multi-million-dollar industry.
No. Like... A lot of these guys. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I feel like a lot of our movies from here are really good. You know what I mean? When I see the trailers for them and stuff, I'm like, damn, okay. Like, I like what I'm seeing. Like, not all of them, but some of them for sure. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna watch that. Like, I feel like Dennis Reed does a lot of dope ones. Moolah, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they have it. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody. There's a lot of you guys out there.
Moolah's got it going on. He's like that what's that dude's name? Medea, who runs Medea?
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. He's like that mini Tyler Perry. He's just like running great quality productions that resonates with the city and the demographic that he's applying it to, and it's like it works. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, like a lot of people outside would probably look at us like, damn, they're really just they're in their own little independent thing. You know what I mean? Which we are. You know, which is dope to me. It's like it's inspiring. You know what I mean? Like it's like, all right, I'm gonna get in that game soon too. Because people have asked me for years, like.
Yeah, but even for me, like I like what you're doing because it's like I sent it to where I'm like, damn it, man, you know what? Like I fuck with what's going on, but at the same time, the true roots of who I am does appreciate things that have more dimensions to it. So like I kind of forgot that because we're so involved in this, and there's like because of production costs and everything and budgeting, you can't really get that full punch from everybody all the time. You have to understand that. But like I'm kind of missing it now. I kind of want the full punches. I kind of want to go back to when like even when Eminem was coming out, man. Forgot About Dre was like a full blown fucking music video with a solid ass fire track behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like I do like shit like that, and I kind of forgot because all you're kind of getting fed now is studio shots where it's just like I record me after I record the song. I forgot what artist I was just talking to this about. It's crazy how nowadays you can literally walk inside of a studio, record a song, shoot a music video inside the studio, upload it on your computer, upload it to YouTube, and put the song out all within like 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the only time in this world where you're able to do it. And I fucked with it at first where it's like, that's crazy. And now I'm kind of like, man, but there's no way you created anything with real meaning in that 1 hour. It's super difficult to do that. Like even with you're talking about coming up with treatments. When you're coming up with a treatment, it can't just be like, well, I think this is going to look sweet. There has to be something that you're hearing in the song that makes you think about these concepts and want to expand on them and put them on paper.
I mean, every time I've gotten to a point sometimes where I know the song better than the artist, because like I'm over there like just singing a song because I know it because I was listening to it so often to think of what would fit for this. You know what I mean? And that becomes, it's like it's dope, but then it's like hard too at the same time because like what if they don't like this? That's always in the back of my mind, like this might not work because sometimes I try to think of something that is off the wall, you know, and that's happened to me where I've given an artist a treatment, they're like, no, I don't want it, like this is doing something else.
Dude, I remember I was shooting a music video. I think it was my second or third time working with Sada Baby. I'm shooting a music video for him, and I found like this fire mask, and I told him to wear it. It's like the thing that what do they call it? Pyrotechnical helmets. And he looked at me and he's like, fuck no. He's like, I'm not wearing that. He's like, there's no way I'm wearing that. And I was like, bro, please just do it, bro. Trust me. He did it, and it ended up looking whack. I'm not going to lie. But I did it. I was like, he was right. It wasn't a good idea. This was a terrible idea, but it sucks because inside you're almost like, wait, I'm the director. I'm the one in charge of the shoot, and you're telling me you don't want to do something that I want to do. It almost hurts your ego a little bit. Yeah. But as a director, you got to look past it and be like, you know what? They're not vibing with this idea, so you just got to next, and not let your emotions get hurt. Especially on set. What do I always say, Nick? When we're on set, I always say, act like you're high. Like everything that's happening, even if it's as stressful as it's stressful, no matter what the hell's happening, or if somebody's hurting your feelings or bothering you or something went wrong, you have to just go through it with ease. Because if you go through it with anger or anything, it builds up tension with everybody on the set itself and within you, so you have a worse production time because of that. It's like, what's the fucking point of that? You hurt everybody around it.
You can't get mad about shit.
Yeah, you got to be cool, man.
Even though like things don't work out like how you want them to, it is what it is.
That's what being a director is all about. Even Quentin Tarantino. I'm sure when Quentin Tarantino's on set, I'm sure not everything goes the fucking way he wants it to go. I was gonna ask you a question too, because when you're talking about this is like kind of a fucked up question. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I like fucked up questions.
This kind of happened to me like a couple weeks ago. Like, you know, okay, let's just say you need models for a video shoot.
Oh man,
you know when you gotta like decide which one gets to stand where because of what they might look like.
This just happened to me. Okay, look.
Like,
okay,
that
so
shit's fucked up.
This just happened to me with, man. Look, I ain't trying. I'm sorry for saying this, but I'm not gonna say the video. But this just happened to a video that just came out recently. It had 2 artists on there. And it was a video me and Cordae worked on together. Well, me and Cordae have been working on a lot of videos together. But so in the scene, there was 2 girls, and one of them wasn't like, it's not nothing about her looks, just how she was in the scene. It was not working for me. I'm like, bro, this isn't working. Get her out. And they didn't want to. They're like, no, bro, that's mean. I'm like, bro, trust me when I say this. Take her out the scene and put this girl in the scene. She's gonna be way better. and it worked out. Sometimes, and that's what being an asshole. That's what being a director is. Like part of it. Like you have to make those tough decisions. You're like the boss of it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, and he was Cordae was giving me hell because he was like, man, that was messed up, bro. I'm like, no, bro, because it doesn't look good. Because at the end of the day, when the audience sees this, and then like, if she's off, they're gonna see that and they're gonna point that out in the comments like this scene sucks because of whatever. I'm not dealing with that, bro. Like no. And then it worked out because the girl did way better. But like yes, like it happens all the time. You have to like move people around, and sometimes it sucks to say because like the models in the video, they're basically the eye candy. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to make that choice and be, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but you have to just like put a prettier girl maybe in the front or like, and it sucks because it shouldn't be like that. But at the end of the day, like, you know,
well, they're called models for a reason.
I get that. No, I understand that.
They're modeling.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But like to me, it's just like, you know, you have to think of the audience. You have to think of a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's never personal, but it's just like, hey, like,
it's tough.
Can I move you? Like, and the good thing is I have like an assistant director sometimes, so I'll have him do it. I'm like, yo, go tell her to move to the back. You know what I mean? Like, and then like I had a set. I'm not. I had a set we did. It was a pool party, and this one girl kept pushing her way to the front, and it's just like, out of all the girls, she wasn't. She I didn't want her in the front. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I didn't want to. I kept having to like, hey, can you just sit over here? I think she got the hint that I was moving her, but I'm like, bro, like I gotta put. You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta put somebody else in the front. You know what I mean? But she kept, every time she got that chance, she just jumped right in the front, and it was like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But like, it's funny because it happens all the time.
I wonder if there's a director out there that's like, look, you're ugly as fuck. You go to the back, and then you bring her up here, and like, I wonder if there's a guy that actually just doesn't give a fuck. Like,
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Like we're doing it the way it's supposed to be or whatever.
Well,
but the models do have to understand, unfortunately, like part of the model's premise is I'm modeling to make the visual stimulation of the video better. Like that's what my fucking job is when they come to set. So obviously their egos are going to get affected because they forget that they're working, but it's a reality of the situation. Like you don't match this scene, unfortunately.
Well, and then again, it comes down to like budget reasons, and it comes down to there's a lot of factors that come into it. But let's just say at this particular video shoot, like a lot of the girls came through on just like because they wanted to come through. So there was no like compensation, right? So I can't really like you don't have a choice of sometimes who shows up. Let's just say it like that. Versus like when there is compensation for them, and they're like, all right, now you have the choice. Like, all right, we have 30 girls. This is who I want, and then you don't have to have that problem. You know what I mean? But sometimes you're like, all right, just whoever can show up to the shoot, just show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's like there's the open door to like anybody, and it's like okay, there's. But yeah, no, definitely. When you get to choose, it's a lot. You don't have to worry about that. But like
when I used to shoot music videos, like when the artists used to book models and stuff, I remember this one rapper, he booked a model, and like while she was pulling up, he was just crossing his fingers, just like, please don't be ugly, please don't be ugly. Because like you're basically going off of Instagram.
Right.
You're basically going off of like,
that's happened.
You're booking this person, and then like they get catfished as a music video director, which is a crazy concept. You hire a model, and then she pulls up and she looks literally nothing like her Instagram. That's cheating, man. I need a refund. Like this is crazy. You don't.
No, that's happened. That's definitely happened to us a few times. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, there's nothing you can do about that at that point. Like you gotta take the L. And
no, there's things you can do. Like you just gotta shoot differently. Like you gotta like
yeah, that too. I mean, or just sometimes you have to just be straight up with somebody like hey, I don't never gotten to that point, but I will though. I'm bro. I don't care. Sometimes I'm like, look, it's not gonna work out. Like and then you just gotta call somebody else. And that's happened. Actually, no, that has happened to me one time. And it wasn't because she was ugly, because the girl was not ugly. She was pretty. She just wasn't good on screen. There was another instance where somebody brought models, and one of the girls he brought was like had no experience, right? She was very pretty, but it's just like she just was dull. Like on screen, like I was like, this looks terrible. I had to call somebody that another model I knew, and then she had to just rush over there and like take her spot, and like so I shot other stuff. But it's like, yeah, it's like sometimes and it sucks because it's like you want to give everybody a chance. You don't want to use the same people, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes that happens, but like what people don't get is just like we don't want to use the same people, but it's like those are who's reliable, who's good at on screen, who's and and it's like it's such a small. This isn't L.A. or New York, so like the people that girls don't come to Detroit like I'm gonna be a model. You know what I mean? They go to L.A. or New York to be a model. You know what I mean? They don't come to Detroit. They're just like we kind of get what we can sometimes, and sometimes it's like. You do get catfished. Hell yeah, you get catfished all the time. I'm just like, man, come on, bro.
As a
like,
music video director,
right? And it's just like, you know what I mean? And then like, on the other end of that, some artists got terrible taste, and it's just like, bro, what? Like, you really thought, you know what I mean? But like, all right, it's your video at the end of the day, So it's like, you want to rock with.
Yeah, it happens all the time, man. I've seen it myself. It's almost like just leave it alone because. Again, we're talking about visual stimulation here. One thing that kind of sucks too about visual stimulation when it comes to female models is that, let's say you're dropping a music video and there's relatively not like a big name on it or something like that, but it's a great video. You shot like a great video.
Mm-hmm.
But the promo clip that you have to use the parts that people are going to stop to watch versus what's actually the greatest parts in the music video.
Right.
Like, I got to start the fucking music video promo clip with these two models in the back of a Benz flying down I-75, but the real cool shot is inside of this room, and it's like you have to go off with the eye candy sometimes. That's why Cole Bennett, again, like I know I keep referencing him, but he's so lucky because when you see his name post on Instagram and his promo clips, it's like, oh, Cole Bennett posted. Let me see everything regardless of how the first second of it. It could be the first 3 seconds could be blank, fade into the best shot of the music video. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, that comes with, again, the fact that he's who he is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it comes with that, like, it comes with the territory of, like, again, your work, like, that's, again, going back to the conversation, I keep hitting this, my bad. I want to get to a point where it's like, every single shot in my video looks sweet. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes I look at it, I'm like, I feel like a friend of mine told me this, and it stuck to my head, like, if you have one standout shot, then you don't have a good video.
Damn.
And I'm like, that makes sense because it's like, all right, this one scene looks sweet, but the rest of it looks like okay. You know what I mean? But where I could just take stills from every single part. So like going back to Cole Bennett, I feel like because they give him pretty much endless resources, you don't have to worry. He don't have to worry about that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but in his videos, he don't really rely too much on models or nothing like that too.
No,
but his videos are super. Like, did you see the Drake joint? He just dropped?
No, I keep hearing you have a new haircut and shit, and I was like, I didn't see it yet.
No, the Drake joint with Lil Yachty and Cole Bennett video, crazy.
Is that actually fire?
Like, super fire. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, they call it money shots, right? The money shots.
Yeah.
Some people have like 3 money shots in an entire video, and the rest of it's kind of just filler.
Yeah. But that also goes down to how much time you have in a video. How much time you have. Like, and again, if the artist shows up on time, you have more time to go do all these things to set up all this shot. Because sometimes we'll do a sweet setup, getting ready for the artist. They show up late, and it's just like, damn, now we got to rush through everything else, and then now you're cheating yourself. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want to do that. So it's just like, again, if you treat the B-roll as good as you treat the main shots, you'll never have that problem ever.
Yeah, I remember when I was first shooting music videos, I didn't realize B-roll, how important B-roll was. I was like, just keep shooting the verses, and then I was like, oh shit, there's nothing to cut to. You just got to keep. But then you start learning all these little things throughout time. What's been like the most implemented new idea or concept that you've been adding to all your videos that you've learned over time, just changes it up and makes it something that stands out and makes it a Diego video?
A lot of my crew gets mad at me because I always want to do that under the table shot. I have a shot where I had this glass platform where the artist can stand and like the camera's under them, and I love that shot. You know what I mean? And my crew's like, "Why do you always want to do that?" I'm like, "Because nobody else is doing it, bro, and I'm the only one that has this glass platform. Like nobody else has this. Like, I'm like, it's like a trademark at this point. You know what I mean? Because it's, but I mean, I feel like when people see I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. Because I try to switch them up every single time. I feel like if you go through my Instagram right now, like none of the videos look the same.
Yeah.
And I think like that might be my trademark. I don't know. Honestly.
You have that cat with you. Who's that cat with you that shoots with you, man?
Carlos?
Carlos, yeah. Carlos was on the set. I met him at the BabyTron Day Fio shoot, and he seemed like he just knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, no,
man.
Carlos is like my right hand. He's like my eyes, man. Like he's my cinematographer. Like I have him. He's the main cinematographer I work with. And then I have my boy John Charles. He's from New York, and sometimes depending on scheduling, I use him too. But Carlos is like, when I first started editing crew, he was the first person I added. He he DM'd me, and I loved his work, and I'm like, all right, let's make it happen. And then it was kind of history from there. Like if you see, there's a good chance you'll see him and me together on any video set.
Yeah.
Like he's also one of those guys that constantly is trying to learn. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll send him stuff like, man, this looks sweet. You know, and like we're big movie guys too, so like we'll study movies. That's another thing too. We study a lot of stuff. Like me, him, and Luis, who was the other guy that we work with. We all study these things. You know what I mean? So like having a crew, like, and when I said earlier that he's better than me, and I mean like shooting wise, lighting wise, I feel like he's beyond me. You know what I'm saying? Like I can tell him what I want it to look like, and he'll make it happen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You complement each other.
Exactly. So it's just like that's what the cool thing about the crew, having a crew, is. It's like you have professionals that they're artists in their own right. They're professionals in their own right. I let them know, hey, I want this done this way, or like I want it to look this way, and then like, all right, I got you, or and they'll just make it happen. And then sometimes they go beyond my expectation. Like Carlos always like, I make a joke with him saying like, you don't ever listen to shit I say, but that's kind of good because it's like I just tell him what I want and he'll make it look good. Sometimes I don't even tell him, like I just give him references, like, can you make it look like this, and he'll just do his own thing no matter what, and it always looks good. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, I just tell him like what I'm going for. He already have it in his mind what we're gonna do. So, and again, it comes down to communication, like being that leader, letting him know like, hey, this is what we need. This is the next shot. This is this and that, and he just gets it done. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Do you feel like you've created maybe a blueprint that people can replicate into saying somebody who can start a music video career and make it a music video career where it's your only source of income as far as a job is concerned?
I don't know if I made a blueprint because I feel like.
Do you think that if you could explain it, not that you should do that right now, but I'm just saying, like, do you think what you're done is replicatable as far as these new coming directors are coming up?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like I learned it from somebody. You know what I mean? I learned it from somebody else. They learned it from somebody. You know what I mean? Like these things. This isn't a new concept. You know what I'm saying? Like I was able to be on set with other people and picked up like, oh, this is how they do this. You know what I mean? Like I was able to get on sets with other directors and just see how people work. And I feel like that's what people should at least try to do, or learn, or watch more behind the scenes, whatever it is, however you learn. Like what we're doing with the crew isn't like some new like concept. You know what I'm saying? Like it's basically like people have been doing it, but just not doing it here. I guess
exactly.
As much.
Yeah. When we're talking about doing it new, you're right. Relatively, if you go to Hollywood, there can be some type of scheme. But even in Hollywood, everybody's competing against the best of the best. Like it's constant. Everybody's fucking good, basically, type thing.
Yeah.
And Detroit, and not only that, the amount of people you're working with that constantly have the budgets to provide you for your life's income, that's there too. In Detroit, it's not like that. That it's not like everybody has a bag and everybody can throw a bag at you consistently, and that their videos are going to be seen by millions of people. It's almost like you got to go, like you said, you still got to do running guns. You know what I'm saying? Because of that case, but you still made it where the whole factor of who you are is that I am a music video director. That is my career. Like that's it. That's all it is. And in Detroit, which again, like we're saying, like, dude, there's 95% of the video directors in Detroit are shooting for $350 or not.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and they're not seeing bookings too often either. Like, it's not like they're getting booked all the fucking time. There was a time where directors were getting booked a lot. In 2017, I remember, like, it was hard to find a music video director, and now it's like there's one at every other corner. So to be the one that stood out, one of the new guys that's standing out and doing it at the capacity that you're doing it in Detroit, it might not be as replicatable as we think, because there's a lot of factors that goes into, like the fact of who you might have worked with at a certain point could be a huge contributing factor, because you got access to this person, worked with that person, proved yourself. Now you can jump to that next level and work with that, and you keep proving yourself because you had those opportunities in those moments. But to do it, for somebody to do it again right now, it's like, I don't know if it's as easy as we think it is.
I mean, it wasn't easy for me. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, again, it's just like I was doing all this stuff by myself. Even trying to do concept stuff before I had the crew, I was doing it by myself. You know what I mean? I was trying to do things by myself. Like I would have certain artists that I know, okay, going back to Courtney, you know what I mean? Like me and Courtney have known each other for years, and he was one of those artists that I can be like, hey man, let's try this. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of his early videos, and even his videos now, stand out the way they do, is because he was cool at experimenting, and then like it was. So I feel like if as a director, an up and coming director, find somebody that if you are lucky enough to find somebody that's cool with experimenting and cool with like taking all day to shoot a video or whatever the case may be, like that you can flex your creative muscle, like keep that person around, bro, whether they are trash or like the dopest person ever, like, and then build that rapport with them, and then like get more comfortable on how you communicate, because a lot of this stuff is communication. Like if I wasn't able to communicate to Carlos or to Carmen or to whoever what I want done, then they can't read my fucking mind. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like at the end of the day, you have to tell them like, hey, this is what I want. And being able to me like how I shoot, like I would have to tell somebody like, hey, I want this type of shot because I've done that type of shot. You know what I mean? Like I can explain to them like, hey, do it like this. So it's just like get there first. Get to the point where your communication is good, and then if you have an opportunity to add one person, add that person. But I will say this: don't try. Everybody can't be the leader, bro. Like everybody has to figure out like, this is my job, this is my thing, this is like, I don't interfere with what Carlos is doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just there to let him know what I want. I don't tell him how to do his shit. I don't tell him nothing. Like, you know what I mean? He don't tell me how to direct. You know anything? Like I don't tell nobody none of their job unless they're fucking up or something. But they don't fuck up. You know what I mean? Like the thing is like, it's just like you gotta sit there and let them do their shit and trust them. That was my biggest thing too, trust. Like trying to figure out who I can trust that wasn't just trying to be around me because they wanted to be around this person. You know what I mean? Like half the time, Carlos don't even know who the fuck this person even is. You know what I mean? Like unless it's like a big artist and he'll be like, oh shit. But then at the end of the day, he don't care either. You know what I mean? Like having that crew that cares more about the visual than who the visual is for is so important, because a lot of times that's where people fuck up.
Yeah, and a lot of what you're saying is playing to your strengths, right? Like what you're good at and what you bring to that table for that particular production, push towards that and not try to mix up so much with the other person's bag. Like if you're the lighting guy, try not to, push into what the director's job is, which is directing the video.
Right.
Somebody made a really good point about that where they said like, it was a comedian. He said, he's like, the worst thing is when people try to add to your ideas. Like usually those ideas are terrible. When people try to add to your ideas, it's only good to hear from them when they're trying to take away from some of your ideas. Like they might see something like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, so you shouldn't do that. Versus saying, oh, you know what would be great is if you did that. Like most of the time, the thing that they try to add worsens the idea.
Dude,
I'd rather have people take away than to add. I hate when people add. When people add, I always want to lose my mind. Like actor, director will come, rapper will come up to me like, "You think? I mean, shut the fuck! Just I already know what we're gonna do. Just let fucking do it."
Man, I hate that motherfucker on set that doesn't have anything to do with the behind the scenes. That just comes in there's like, bro, get your fucking brother, cousin, uncle, get them the fuck out of my face, bro. Because it's like, but no, I do hate. I hate the you should do this type of motherfucker. Like, bro, you should get the fuck out of my face right now because you're not being paid to do this. I am. You know what I mean? It's like my job to make sure, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what shoot I was doing, and somebody said that, and I literally stopped doing what I was doing, and I grabbed my camera and I went like this. I was like, here, you do it. He's like, no, I'm not trying to do your job, bro. I was like, you sound like you are, bro. You really do, And that's risky because you don't know how somebody's going to react.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, I got so fed up with this guy. I'm like, bro, like, you do this shit, bro. Because what the fuck am I here for? You know what I mean? Like, let me do my shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like.
It's like when a fan tells, like, a basketball player, like, to do what to do while they're playing on the court. Someone's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm the one on the court. I'm the one doing this.
Right.
Most of the time, people don't understand, though, directors, especially when somebody like you, where there's a creative end to it, too. It's not just directional. That you already know exactly what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
When you're on set, usually it's like I already seen the music video in my mind. I already know what I want it to be. And then somebody will come in and say something. Like I had a model tell me something the other day, and I was sitting there, I was like, it's already in my brain. I already know what I'm doing. Now, unless you see something that we're doing that doesn't make any fucking sense, that's fine. You can tell me that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'm cool with collaborating if it's collaborating an idea, if it's crucial to your part. Like if a model's like, you think could I try this? As like if it appeals to her movements and stuff. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, try that. Let's see what it looks like. Or like, again, you know, like going back to the lighting guy or my cinematographer, like, hey, I think I'm going to try this angle, or I'm going to try, trust me, it's going to look good. All right, let's try it. And if it doesn't look good, it doesn't work, cool. It doesn't work. But like, I do, again, going back to, I hate hey, you should do this, ass motherfucker. Like, bro, no, get the fuck out of my face, bro.
You've been, I always notice every so once in a while on Instagram, in your story, you'll post a movie review, and you did, I think you did The Exorcist as your last one. You gave it like a 6.5, which don't tell me if it's a good or a bad movie, because I kind of do want to see that one kind of when it comes out. I don't know about you going to the theater to see that shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's probably why you gave it a 6.5. If you have to drive your ass out and sit down to watch that fucking movie, even I knew when I seen the trailer, I was like, that's a Netflix at the crib chilling with my Hennessy.
Well, you, I love going to movies, bro. Like I've always done as a kid. Like, it's just like the experience for me more than like the movie sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, definitely watch it at the crib.
I knew it, bro. This is like the 20th Exorcist. I was like, there's no way I'm going to see the 20th Exorcist at the movie scene. I seen Terrifier 2 or whatever the newest Terrifier was. I was like, I should have just fucking watched this at home.
Yeah.
Most horror movies.
You know what movie you should, before we move on to the next subject, you should go watch at the movie theater though? The Creator.
What's that?
It's a science fiction movie. You ever seen that Godzilla movie? Or that when it came out like 7 years ago? What about Star Wars World Going? No, okay. Well, the guy that directed, and it stars Denzel Washington's son. So it's really dope. It's like, to me, that's another thing too. Like, people that complain about movies not being like original, or like just like, oh, they only do sequels. This is an original movie. Like, it's not attached to nothing, original story. Super dope movie, and they filmed it on FX3.
What?
Yeah.
All on an
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
independent,
man. But this movie, when you watched, I'm telling you what, this movie deserves to be watched on big screen.
Some movies do. Obviously, the atmosphere of the theater is incredible. You know, there's a theater in West Bloomfield. I forget which theater. I think it's the Imagine in West Bloomfield. They show like movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like, sometimes they'll premiere Scarface or Goodfellas, and it's like, holy shit, man. Think about like the fact that we never got the chance to see those movies in theaters, and now we get the chance to go see what it was like to fucking experience it for the first time.
I would have loved to see a lot of those movies in theater. You just to see like, oh, to have the.
I would want to see Scarface. When they did Scarface, I actually didn't want to go see it. I was actually, I think I'm gonna actually pay the $25 to go see Scarface.
It's $25 to go see Scarface.
It was like, it's like a whole thing. It's like a little event, man. What movie, if you could go back in time and watch it in the theater, would you want that?
Oh shit, dude! Like how? Like you're talking back in the time, like
whenever you want, but it's not. You couldn't have seen it because you weren't even alive, or you weren't old enough to get there.
Damn, there's so many, bro. Because I'm a movie head. Like I watch, like, if you're like, I'm not gonna pull up on my screen, but like I own over like 400 like Blu-rays and DVDs and shit.
Damn.
I would say
I'll go Saving Private Ryan as one.
Saving Private Ryan's a dope movie. Yes, that's a good choice. Damn, that's it. I'm thinking I would like, now just me by myself, or like, do I get to experience it with like a crowd of people? Like, how is this scenario
It's
going?
like people like-minded as you, like, are going to see it. Like these people all fuck with this movie, obviously. Like if Goodfellas came out, you're a De Niro fan.
Damn, I would have loved to experience, maybe because I'm a Star Wars person, or Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back in theaters. Because I wasn't like, I would have loved to experience that in theaters with like a crowd of like Star Wars fans. Like I would have loved to do that. You know what I mean? Like that or Jurassic Park. And you like the thing with nowadays, like they don't make big adventure movies no more. It's just like all comic book movies, and it's like all. And I hate, and like, don't get me wrong, I love a good comic book movie, whatever. But like, I feel like they don't make like The Mummy. You know what I mean? Like, you remember?
No, they did. Tom Cruise, it sucked ass.
No, I know. I'm talking about like those fun adventure movies, like the original Mummy with Brendan Fraser and like.
They remade The Mummy. It sucked.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but like what I'm saying, like watching those type of movies, like they don't make those type of movies no more. You know what I'm saying?
Like the original first version of it. You mean?
Yeah,
like
with Brendan Fraser. Yeah, they don't make that no more. You know what I mean? Like I want to see like a fun adventure movie where you just go and just like you're just watching this fun shit happening. Because I just rewatched that not too long ago at home. I'm like, damn, this would have been. I think I did see it in theater when I was a kid, but because it came out in like 2001.
You know, the only person that you could probably catch something like that with is a Quentin Tarantino film. Because even when he came out with like The new American Once Upon a Time in America, that was something fucking, I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like that. Like
Yeah, that was a dope movie.
And then you have Inglourious Bastards, even though it's not an adventure per se, it kind of is a fucking adventure, just a horrific one.
But see what I'm saying? Those but those type of movies, you know what I mean? Like you watch these like characters kind of go through this. Like I feel like all we get fed now is just like, all right, well now we get to see Captain America go and save the world again or whatever, which is cool, whatever.
Yeah,
but like
the Batmans just keep recycling.
Yeah, like, and it's cool. Like they're good. I go watch them, but it's just like, damn, I miss the times where you could see Indiana Jones and those type of movies where it's like we don't get that no more. That's why I like the creator, because even though it was like more moody and dark, like it was still like this person I don't even know that I got attached to, that's just like going through this like epic journey with this fucking, you know, little robot kid. You know what I mean? It's just like, damn, okay, like, and you're watching it, you know, how where his life was at and now where it ends up at. You know, it was like, damn, I appreciate it, and it looked great too for like the budget they spent on it. They didn't spend shit.
All right, I gotta check it out, man. Especially because it's shot on these like independent films.
Yeah, I had the same camera.
It's
So,
like you know, they're saying that obviously Hollywood's running out of fucking ideas. Obviously, like there's a strike going on, and on top of that, there's like a whole conspiracy about why movies suck ass now, like or on the decline as far as the mainstream. I forget what the fucking conspiracy is exactly. Netflix, yeah, because of the fact that DVD sales and everything like that don't apply anymore. That they're so in on the bag of getting the theater movies sold out, because DVD sales was a huge thing. That if the movie failed in theaters and the movie failed or whatever,
John Wick
was like that.
John Wick failed in theaters, and then the DVD sales were so good that they made a second one. Now look where it's at.
Exactly. So now it's harder to do that because nobody gives a fuck about DVDs anymore.
They don't.
Yeah,
Which kind of suck. Well, not for me, because I just like I never had to worry about them selling out.
What's your top 5 of all time right now, movies wise?
I hate when people ask me
You
that.
got to give it
Of all time.
You got to do all time, man.
Fuck, all time. Okay. Damn. Because that changes. You know what I mean? Because I'll see something I'm like, damn. But rewatchable, like I have to watch it no matter what. Like when it's on, like, all right. I don't want to say the obvious ones, but like to me, like action wise, Mad Max is like Fury Road, the one that came out in 2015.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like to me, like that's like one of the best action movies ever made. Shawshank Redemption is probably another one. Like that one gets me like kind of teary eyed when I watch it, like because I'm like happy for the guy. You know what I'm saying? Man, this is probably cliche to say, but Dark Knight is probably one of my top.
Fire.
That top, like I can watch that over and over and over. Damn, you put me in a tough spot, bro. Because
And the 4 and the 5 is always the hardest ones.
I mean, and that's no order. You know what I mean? That's not like my top 3 or nothing like that. But like that's not in no particular order. Fuck. What? I would say, I hate this question, dude. This is like the toughest question ever. Damn.
The film gods are watching you, man.
They really are, bro.
Yeah, they're like,
'cause it's like,
fuck up.
You ever seen Old Boy?
Old Boy's isn't it a different language?
Yeah, it's
I keep hearing about that.
from South Korea, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if I want to say it's my top 5, but it's one movie I always remember because the twist ending is crazy. But it's not. This is honorable mention. Everything Everywhere at Once is probably up there now.
That's good.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
That
did make me cry.
I've seen that movie like 4 times already. Like
Damn.
to me, it's like how many times have I seen a movie? If I can see that movie over and over and over, like it's one of my favorite movies. I said Dark Knight already. Everything Everywhere at Once. So I have one left. Damn. I'm gonna throw a horror film in there, and I'm gonna say the original Halloween.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a fire constructed movie. It's not just a horror movie. It's actually
Because I feel like that birthed everything. All the slasher movies.
Didn't
like,
Carpenter's that's a
John
Carpenter.
Carpenter,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he made the soundtrack for that film too.
He pretty much he directed it. He wrote it. He did the soundtrack, and I think that's the first time. One of the first times they used like Steadicam.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It was kind of like new back then or whatever.
They called it something else, I think. I don't
Yeah,
think
it was definitely
called
called something else.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't like the first movie that did it, but like one of the first like horror films that did it because he wanted a POV. But I feel like it changed the game for for horror films because it birthed slashers like Scream, and after that you saw like Friday the 13th and all these other movies that dealt with like teens getting killed off, and, like that started from Halloween.
Yeah, the newest one sucked ass. Actually, I don't know if the newest one sucked ass or the one before the newest one sucked ass. But
You know, I just saw Jigsaw. Jigsaw.
X.
Saw X.
Saw X.
It wasn't like the best Saw movie. Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. It was one of the best Saw movies.
Is it?
Yes, it wasn't better than the original one. But you know what it was about it? Obviously, Jigsaw is the villain, right? He's the bad guy. He's putting people in traps. But this movie, for whatever reason, it made you feel like he wasn't the bad guy. Like, you watched this movie, and there was, like, you started feeling for him, like, damn. Like, you get a different side to it. And that's what I like about movies, bro. I think that's why I've been so hesitant to make movies.
Well,
because, like, I'm trying to I want to tell a story like that. You know what I mean? Like a deeper story.
Yeah, and you know what really helps you dig deeper is when you go on YouTube and you watch the timelines of these movies and you see like how even Breaking Bad, like, you know, people break down the whole Breaking Bad timeline on YouTube, like these creators. They'll talk about the beginning and the end, and Saw is the same way. They talk about, there's a guy on YouTube who created the timeline for every single Saw character, and then it all correlates, and you're like, oh my God, there's so much substance and depth to this stuff that's why it's more incredible than we think it is.
Well, this one took place between 1 and 2.
Oh, cool.
So basically it's like Saw 1.5, but it really is like the 10th one. But yeah, it shows. I mean, are you familiar with the Saw franchise?
I just told you, yeah. I
I
watched the whole thing of it.
So Amanda, his like the apprentice, she's in this movie.
Okay, so they're in 1 and 2. You're right. Like,
yeah,
right
yeah.
In the
So
middle.
like it's between like, but then also he's on the phone with the detective guy that was
John. Not John. Oh, that's the guy's name.
I know.
Detective Poole. Is it?
I forgot his name, but he's on the phone with him most of the time, and then they show him in the movie later on. But like kind of, but like it's kind of cool. You know, you kind of see these little like. So I feel like if they do more movies, they have to show what happens between 3 and 4, like 2 and 3. You know, if they do and they go on the next one, and the way they ended it, they definitely left it open for. And it was good though. Like again, what I liked about it. It was still like it kind of kept the whole thing was Saw, like the goriness and the traps and all that, but it gave you a different side to Jigsaw, where you're like, you didn't get that depth from him before. You know what I mean? You know, you kind of felt bad for him, even though he's like a crazy psycho killer guy.
Well, yeah, he was basically like, I think he was like a cancer patient, right? And the doctors misdiagnosed him, which made his cancer get even worse. And then he tried to kill himself because his baby got killed prematurely, and like all this shit was basically going wrong in his life. And then I think his first victim was the person that accidentally killed his baby. So then he just started there, like he was trying to get back at the world or whatever. So the depth behind it like kind of starts there, but then you watch like I'm telling you, there's this YouTube series, and I don't just watch it for Saw, but I watch it for like I'll watch a movie and I'll watch the analysis of the movies afterwards.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Bro, it changes your entire thought process, like you were saying earlier, of why you were kind of hesitant to get into film. It changes your entire thought process of what it takes to create a film with substance and to make sure everything fucking makes sense. Like this guy broke down why the Gotti film was so horrendous. You know, Gotti got like a 0% rating.
That's the one with John Travolta, right?
Yeah, John Travolta. I got a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And the YouTube creator made a comparison between John Gotti's scene in Gotti when he's talking to his wife in prison versus when Ray Liotta's talking to his wife in prison in Goodfellas. And the difference is literally just sound. He's like, in the Ray Liotta version, you hear sound, you see the mom dealing with the kids, you see other people complaining and yelling at each other, you see bread piece being passed around, you see the dynamic between the relationship. And in the John Travolta version, it's literally just a wife and John Travolta just like having a shouting match back and forth, and that was it. And he's like, you can see why nobody fucked with this movie. There's no substance or depth to it. And when you watch these other movies that have dynamic and reason and a built-up chemistry between the characters, why people fell in love with that movie more so. So watching these movies, like another movie that just fucked me up is called The Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Dude, that movie is, I own that movie.
Bro.
Crazy.
I watched it, right? So I watch it and I'm thinking I'm smart enough to know what's going on. I was like, oh, so he's not really him. He's really himself. Oh, I was like, I get the whole movie. I go and watch what the movie's really about.
So they break it down.
Bro, it's literally about a guy who can't stop himself from cheating. Basically, like all he wants to do is fuck other women.
Yeah. And
women are basically like the spider.
Yep.
Like in the movie, you see spiders all the time, and that women are a figure of spiders because they entrap you, basically. Like that was the whole. And I didn't put any of that together until I watched the film analysis.
Well, the crazy thing about movies, when you go back to the Gotti and the Goodfellas thing, is also like giving the audience like you said, the substance, but like even when you don't explain stuff to them, you just like kind of like give them little small clues within the picture. You're like, oh, okay. Or how like their mannerisms. I just watched a movie called No One Will Save You. It's on Hulu. It's just a streaming movie. But the whole movie, nobody talks. Like, I mean, they have sound like they, like there's no dialogue. Like nobody exchanges dialogue. Nobody says, hey, what's up? No, there's nothing. There's like maybe like 5 words throughout the whole movie that are said. But I followed it all the way through. And I'm like, holy shit, this is good. I thought it was good. Some people didn't like it, but I thought it was good. But I feel like that says a lot. Like if you can make a whole movie with nobody talking and you can still follow the movie, that's like that's what I'm saying. Like that's the type of stuff that makes you a good filmmaker. You know what I mean? Like I don't like when movies like don't give me the benefit of like me figuring it out. Like don't just tell me what's about to happen, or don't tell me like that. Okay, I don't want to ruin nothing in The Exorcist, but there's literally a part where they're like explain why the girls were missing for 3 days, and then one of the characters' mom is like, well, Jesus was missing. He came back in 3 days. I'm like, bro, like you're just like you're treating me like I'm an idiot. I hate movies that just give me like exposition. You know what I mean? Like don't just like make me feel like you have to explain what's going on to hold my hand. Like, let me figure it out. Let me watch this. Let me like get into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like trust the audience.
Shit. Yeah, they don't do that.
And that's why Goodfellas was so phenomenal, because even if you watch the film analysis of Goodfellas, you figure out so much of what was happening through the film, but also things that weren't explained but were still a part of the film. Like, remember the guy the wig salesman in Goodfellas? Mm-hmm. How they were point shaving in the movie? And that was like a huge part of what the fucking gangsters were actually doing with that organization, was point shaving basketball games. So they were paying off refs and shit like that to fix games. But he only mentions it once in the movie, but it's actually a huge part of the movie if you really pay attention to it. So it's almost like they don't tell you everything, but you're still digesting it enough to know, like, okay, they trusted me to know that this matters enough, but without having to fully fucking dive into it. Quentin Tarantino is like a master at that too, but I was going to ask you this because I do this all the time. The movies that I don't watch, which I got to stop doing this, but when you go on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, if they're under 6.0 and 60%, I'm not going to watch it because there's a good chance that the world's right about this movie sucking. But do you look at ratings before you watch a movie? And what's the one thing you've been totally wrong about even though it had a bad rating?
I do watch reviews before. I watch reviews and I do everything before I watch a movie. I hate that I do that, but I do. Because I do. There's certain reviewers that on YouTube that I like. I like their opinions. You know what I mean? Like, but I would say, like, wrong. Like, I thought it was gonna be bad and it ended up being good. I'm trying to think. Recently, at the movie theater or just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah, I just saw a movie called Totally Killer. So it's like kind of like Back to the Future, but it's a slasher. And I thought, like, bro, I know it sounds crazy, right? It sounds super crazy, but it was actually good. I'm like, yo, this is actually not that bad. I'm not gonna say it's like, the best movie.
It got
ever.
bad reviews.
It was getting like mixed reviews and stuff like that. So like I was just like, and a lot of the reviewers were saying like, well, I don't know how to feel about this, and then like, it was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, but I actually thought, like, because I saw the second trailer to Exorcist, because the first trailer didn't sell me. I'm like, this movie's gonna be all right. But then they made a second trailer, and I'm like, oh, this might be good. So that was a movie that, on the flip side, I thought might be good, and then it was dog shit.
I'm getting a lot of those. You think it's gonna be good, and it ends up being bad. There was like this movie where some guy goes to Iraq to save like a translator. And then the translator ends up saying, yeah.
Crazy how that.
How the hell did you know that?
I never saw that movie either.
You didn't see it?
No, with Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah. And I was kind of like, come on, man. You know what's funny when you see a lot of movies using the same exact concept as far as how they're. It's basically like a lot of movies are doing this concept, which they did in The Covenant, which is they tell you the whole story for an hour and 30 minutes. You're following a timeline. And then they switch it to the perspective of a completely another person, and then you watch that other person's perspective for the next 1 hour and a half. So you're watching two different perspectives in one movie of what one person was seeing and what one other person was seeing at the exact same time. I watched 3 movies in a row that were like that coincidentally. I wasn't even trying to do it on purpose. It's almost like somebody seen that and was like, all right, let's go with that. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
I think people try to make overly overly complicated stories for no reason.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I see even with Tubi movies, they're trying to throw a twist. Like I feel like what works. I know I said I don't watch Tubi movies, but like I've seen a couple. I think I'll skim through them. I don't watch them like fully. I'll be like, like what works and what people don't understand is like sometimes just telling a simple story, but giving the depth on screen is what better than trying to like go overly like, oh, I'm gonna give you this person's perspective, or like introduce this character who doesn't really fucking matter, or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Trying to like give you so much is pointless. You know
they
what I
keep
mean?
throwing wives in these movies, like, oh yeah, plus he has a wife, and then it's like the wife adds this dynamic for like 20 minutes, and you never see her again. Like, what the fuck was the point of that
like,
shit?
yeah, exactly. Like that's what I think. What a lot of times like. There's no need to add this extra dynamic. Just give me a streamlined story, make me care about. And I think that's why I like the creator so much, because it just made me care about the two main people, which was the guy and the little kid. I didn't give a fuck about nobody else, and they didn't try to like add anything else to it. They just kept adding to his story. You know what I mean? As you go along, like they added more depth to him, and more like they did little things with other characters, but like so minimal that it would just add it to the whole overall atmosphere, versus trying to like, all right, let's go follow this person that we're not gonna see or just might end up dying. You know what I mean? Like, no, like make me care about the characters I'm following for the next 2 hours. So when if something does happen to him, I'm gonna give a fuck. You know what I mean?
When I hear YouTube creators talk about that, they always say the same thing. They say this movie doesn't know what it wanted to be. Like that's the way of looking at it. Like, they didn't know what direction they wanted to take you into, and then the movie gets kind of confused. And then like it's so funny because when I was younger, I used to think I was retarded. I used to be like, oh, I just didn't get the movie. I'm fucking stupid. I'm just a retard. But then when I got older and I started watching movies that don't make any fucking sense, I'll go on Reddit and everybody like, yeah, this movie fucking sucked. I'm like, oh, I'm not fucking retarded. Like everybody realized this movie
like
fucking sucks.
A lot of people don't get the concept of like just telling a simplified story. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like some of the best even movies like Sixth Sense. You just watch the story of this guy with this kid, and then they give you the twist at the end. He's a ghost guy. Sorry, like this movie's like 30 years old. So like, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. But again, what they do around it is they build the world around it. They build certain things. They do small little stuff. And again, for a twist to work in a movie, for me, for something to really hit, it has to like give you the hints from the jump. Like they kind of like, if you go, like when you watch it, like damn, he was dead. You know what I mean? Like he was doing all these, like when he was at dinner with his girl, like his wife took the check. Like you go back and like, oh, they've been hinting at this. I hate when a movie does like, they try to do a twist just for the sake of making a twist. Just like, what the hell? What the fuck was the point of that? You know what I mean? Like they weren't building. That's what made the first Saw movie so good.
They said that about the Jamie Foxx movie where he's a cop and he has to save his son. It's that fucking movie where he's a cop and he has to save his son, and like what the fuck? It's like a really famous movie, Sleepless or something.
Oh, is that the one where he's in Las Vegas or something like that?
Yeah, he's like in Vegas and somebody steals his son and he has to get his son.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole movie that you're watching, this movie with Jamie Foxx, you think he's a fucking drug dealer, and then at the end of it, you figure out he's actually a cop.
Yeah.
And the YouTube creator actually made a good point. They're like, we hated Jamie Foxx the entire movie until we figured out he was a cop, but you guys wanted that twist so fucking bad that he was actually a cop that you made us hate him through the entire fucking movie. See, it's like, what the fuck are we? Just like, why are you complicating like, shit so much?
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't need to be that complicated. It just like sometimes you just need to like, if you can like the character, like I've watched movies where I'm like, okay, that movie wasn't like really that good for real, or I've seen all these other things in other movies because I watch so many movies. But if like they made me care about the character, so everything else didn't really matter. So if like they lived or died at the end, that's what I gave a fuck about. You know what I mean? That's why I love Shawshank Redemption, because you're like following this guy Andy, going through all this bullshit, and it's like it starts getting, you think it's gonna get better for him, and then it gets worse, and like damn, then you're like, you know what, that fucking sucked. But then like he has friends, so it's like, and then like things happen to them, and it's like if you follow them, no matter what the outcome is, spoiler alert, he gets out of prison, you feel good. Like I felt good. I'm like, damn. Like I felt crying of joy because I'm like, this guy made it. You know what I mean? Like he beat the system. Fuck that warden that tried to ruin his life and all this other shit. Yeah. Because again, it's like you're building these things around him. You don't try to like go branch off and do it. It's like hey, this is his story, and this is little things that are happening to him. You know what I mean? That kind of push the story forward. I hate like again. It's like there's no point of trying to make things complicated. Like even when you're making Tubi movies, just like what is the story you're trying to tell, and like add a little bit to it. You don't need to like try to make this twist and just for making a twist. I saw a movie recently where it's like I knew like about halfway through, and it was a Tubi movie, but I went to go to the premiere of it. I'm like, this person's gonna die. Like the main character that we're following, they're gonna die at the end. I knew it. I called it like in my head. I'm like, he's dying at the end. Guess what the fuck happened? He fucking gets shot in the head at the end of the movie.
Once they start showing you sympathy in the character, where you're like supposed to feel bad for him for whatever reason in the movie, you're like, wow, why do I feel so an emotional connection to this guy? He's gonna probably die.
I hate when like they do like certain things that you think are gonna make you. You think they're gonna make you feel like okay, the person all of a sudden like. Not all of a sudden, but like near the end of the movie, you find out his girl's pregnant. Like the movie was about to be over. So like, and then like, oh yeah, your girl's about to go have a baby. On the way to having a baby, you get shot in the head. I'm like, bro, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like you didn't give me enough to care whether he got killed or not. You know what I mean? Like you get like that's what I think a lot of times they're lacking is the emotional depth to like caring about this character, you know what I mean? Like, and that's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that. That's my biggest fear is trying to create something that people are a character somebody's gonna follow. Because again, what people don't understand is what makes movies great is how this person was in the beginning versus how they're at the end. If there's no change versus how they were in the beginning versus how they were at the end, then what were we watching for the last 2 hours and a half or whatever the hell long the movie is?
That's the entire point of the movie.
Yeah, you have to change. You have to. If you were a fucking piece of shit at the beginning of this movie and at the end you're not a piece of shit and you like did some noble shit to either sacrifice yourself or like whatever, that's progression. You know what I mean? Like you're like starting to become this better person. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's why I liked the Saw movies, the new Saw movie so much, because you're like, Jigsaw is a fucking psycho killer that puts people, even though he has his own twisted reason, like, oh, you appreciate your life if you cut your fucking arm off or some shit, right? But it made you feel like, damn, this guy gives a fuck about his own moral code, that he's still gonna stick to it, even if it damn near costed his life. You know what I mean? Like, and he changed. You know what I mean? He was becoming different. You know? Yeah. So I like that. Like I like movies that will show me a person being whatever they were, whether they were afraid of doing this and at the end they're like now they're like not afraid of whatever it is, or like you're a different person. Like make me care about why this person is now here versus just like now I'm just watching them going through a series of events and I don't give a fuck about
the transformation of somebody.
No, suddenly he has a baby. Like no, care about him now. In the last 5 minutes, literally was the last 5 minutes of the movie. I'm like, fuck.
That's what transformation's all about. Even sometimes when like Detroit Rap News or a platform will post like transformation of an artist, and they always get so much engagements because you watch somebody's story and who they became from like 5 years ago till now. You know what I mean? Which makes me think of something before we sign off that we got to do. Now that I think about it, one day me and you got to sit here and watch like at least one Tubi movie and just fucking review it while it's going.
I'm down to do that, but man, it can't be nobody from Detroit, bro. It's got to be somebody that's not from Detroit, because I'm not trying to catch that heat because I'm honest and I see, like, again, I see a lot of things that I feel like are really have dope potential. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm like, they're on my watch list. But I don't want to do something that's like from somebody from here and then they're not gonna.
No, we're gonna get like them to say yes, like you can do it, whatever the fuck you do, you can do it. Like that's the type of person we're gonna.
All right, that's cool, because like I'm down for that, but I'm brutal.
No, we're gonna get into it. You know, we're gonna have to do it.
I'm with that for sure.
Diego, my boy, it was a pleasure to have you on,
Thank
man.
you.
I know a lot of music video directors are gonna be watching this, so it's good to get insight from somebody who, like I said before, man, you started something where you had to go through the bullshit that a lot of music videos directors go through. You went through that trial, and then you did what you said you were going to do, which is pay attention to your productions and keep evolving your productions, making sure that you put everything you got into them every time. So it's inspiring to see, man. Definitely think you're going to be up as one of the GOATs of music video directors in Michigan pretty damn soon, where it's going to be a stamped, where other people from outside of the city are going to see that and know who you are immediately. And I'm sure a lot of them already fucking do. Thanks for being a part of this. We're at Parallel Sound Studio, High Level Visuals, Shooting Productions. We're out. Peace.